Chapter 1921. Song Peng and the Hall Master of the Profound God remembered Chen Shang and had a very deep impression of him, especially Song Peng, who had been defeated by Chen Shang with a single sword strike. This made him feel an inexplicable sense of fear towards Chen Shang, and he hated him to the core because Chen Shang had let him lose so badly. One of them saw that the Hall Master and Song Peng were looking at Chen Shang with hostility, so he asked, "Zhang Zhou, what's wrong, do you recognize him?" Song Peng fiercely clenched his fists, and said with a low voice, "He's the guy who passed the trial and entered." As Song Peng said this, the other people who came with them immediately understood. This was because they had heard the news of Song Peng's miserable defeat back then, as well as Chen Zhang's provocation of the 19th Hall Master of the Profound God. All of these things had caused quite a sensation among the Profound Goddess. The little girl tugged on Chen Zhang's leg, her beautiful and cute big eyes had a look of disgust. She pouted her lips and said softly, "Big brother, we'll only sell you our family's divine medicine, wait for my grandmother to come back." Zhang Zhou walked in and used that pair of fierce eyes to look at the little girl, causing the little girl to become even more afraid. "You're finally here," Zhang Zhou said with a cold face. "At that time, you wanted to challenge me. You should still remember that, because of the sudden arrival of the elder, you could only give up at that time, but I have always placed this matter in my mind. Of course, if you are afraid, and do not dare to compete with me, I will not blame you." Chen Shang shook his head and smiled. "My Hall Master told me to not fight in private, so it's better not to." Zhang Zhou's face changed, his voice filled with anger. "Looking at you, you don't seem to be afraid at all, are you looking down on me?" Chen Shang stopped smiling and said seriously, "Brother Zhang, I am truly afraid of death, please let me go, I do not want to cause trouble." After he finished speaking, a smile appeared on Chen Zhang's face once again. "That look from before should be enough, right?" Zhang Zhou was trembling from anger. Chen Shang was just pretending. Just now, when Chen Shang mentioned that they should not fight in private, it was because of the strict rules in Supreme Divine Palace. If they were to offend him, the consequences would be severe. "Grandmother is back," the little girl suddenly shouted. Chen Shang had already seen an old lady walking over shakily from afar while leaning on a wooden stick. This old lady was very old. Looking at her walking appearance, it seemed like she could fall anytime. Chen Shang held onto the little girl's hand, and anxiously walked over and supported the old man. "Grandma, someone came to buy the divine medicine. You should sell this big brother of yours. He's great." Seeing that her grandmother had returned, the little girl became bolder, pointed at Zhang Zhou and Song Peng's group and said, "These guys are here again." The old man looked at Chen Shang and smiled. "Youngster, I have never seen you before. You're new, right?" Chen Shang smiled and nodded. "I came here to purchase divine medicine on the first day. This is for you." The old lady believed in the little girl's words. The little girl said that Chen Shang was a good person, that Chen Shang was a good person to her. This flower was very red, and bloomed very beautifully. It was about the size of a palm, but what surprised Chen Shang was that at the center of this red flower was a crystal the size of a grain of rice. Although this flower was very small, it was the same as divine deity. These are the divine soul blood blossom. After it matures, the flower heart can condense a very small amount of divine deity, and the petals can be used to replenish the vitality of the blood and strengthen the body. These are the rare Zongpin medicine. One of the men from Song Peng's side shouted in shock, "Zhang Zhou, you have to take him down." When Chen Shang saw this flower, the medicinal knowledge that Feng Yuji had imparted to him surfaced immediately. If the divine deity of this flower was a little stronger, it would be a Shengpin medicine, a divine medicine that could grow. If you take care of it carefully, it would not be difficult for it to grow into a Shengpin medicine. Although the divine deity condensed from this flower was only as big as a grain of rice, it was incomparably precious. If it was an ordinary Zongpin medicine, then one could obtain it with 50,000, but not with this divine soul and blood flower. Chen Shang was troubled, because he only had 45,000 Shen Yuan stone on him. Forget about these divine soul and blood flowers, he couldn't even buy normal Zongpin medicine. "Old granny, I only have 45,000 Shen Yuan stone, I'll give it to you first, don't sell it to others, I'll go back and get it." Chen Shang looked at Song Peng and the others, and said embarrassedly. Sure enough, Song Peng and Zhang Zhou started laughing out loud. "We offer 100,000 Shen Yuan stone." Zhang Zhou walked over and glanced at Chen Shang in disdain. The old man nodded his head. "I'll take your Shen Yuan stone first. You go back and get 105,000, I'll sell it to you for 150,000. Zhang Zhou panicked and said, I'll pay 200,000, it's yours now. This divine soul and blood spending 150,000 was simply too cheap. Zhang Zhou and the others were very clear on the value of this flower, but this old lady actually sold it to Chen Shang for 150,000. I've already sold it to someone else. Please leave. The other party carried Chen Zhang's storage bag and walked into the fence, while the flower was still in Chen Zhang's hands. Chen Shang chased after her and said, "Old granny, take the flowers first. I will go back to get enough Shenyuan stone." The little girl smiled sweetly at Chen Shang. "Big brother, take the flowers back, we trust you." Zhang Zhou and the others were dumbfounded, they felt extremely unresigned and shouted again, "Are you selling the 300,000 Shenyuan stone?" "Not for sale," the little girl humphed coquettishly. Zhang Zhou was furious and shouted ferociously, "Stupid girl, shut up. What are you trying to say when you're an adult?" Looking at the fierce little girl Zhang Zhou, Chen Shang was also furious in his heart. He released the god-killing sword on his body, his eyes blazed as he said coldly, "Zhang Zhou, the one who shut up is you." Seeing Chen Shang angry, Zhang Zhou was also a little afraid, he still remembered Chen Zhang's god-murdering sword techniques vividly. HMPH, let's go. Zhang Zhou brought Song Peng and the others and left. Making a move on the citizens was a huge crime, although they would occasionally say some words to the citizens, they did not dare make a move, and if Supreme Divine Palace found out, it would be a serious crime. Chen Shang caressed the little girl's face and said softly, "Don't be afraid, with Big Brother here, I won't let them bully you." "Oh right, what's your name?" "Shuling Fei, Grandma calls me Fei Fei." The little girl had just seen Chen Shang drink away Zhang Zhou and the bunch of annoying people, and she had even worshipped him. "How about Big Brother you?" "My name is Chen Shang." Chen Shang smiled and took out another fruit for her to eat. This time, he realized that Shuling Fei's grandmother was a little strange. When he released the god-killing sword, this old lady was very calm, she didn't even turn around and walked into the house. "Young man, if you want to buy even better divine medicines, bring a few more Shenyuan stone with you tomorrow." "I still have some," the old lady said. Chen Shang agreed and then bid farewell to the grandfather and grandson pair. He then hurriedly returned to Supreme Divine Palace. Chapter 1922, Chen Shang quickly left the village. Just as he left, Zhang Zhou and the others came out from a patch of forest, and looked in the direction that he disappeared in. "You all must have heard earlier that the old woman had even better divine medicines. This year, we are in charge of purchasing them, but we did not receive any good medicines. If this goes on, we will definitely not receive any of the divine medicines." Zhang Zhou said fiercely, "Tomorrow, we will come earlier. No matter what, we must get some good divine medicine from that old granny." Song Peng asked in a low voice, "Hall Master, are you not afraid of the elders finding out?" Zhang Zhou said, "I will definitely clean it and not let others know. At that time, I will conveniently take care of this Chen Shang fellow." Chen Shang quickly returned to the small courtyard. This was also the 10th hall of the Supreme Dan Hall. After Luo Tianjin heard this, he anxiously walked out and asked with a frown, "Brat, what's the matter, why are you shouting so loudly?" On the way, Chen Shang used the spirit pearls that he and the girls had cultivated together to duplicate a flower of divine soul and blood. In the future, when he was free, he would copy it a little more. Chen Shang took out the purple yuan divine grass. Upon seeing it, Luo Tianjin smiled and said, "Your luck is not bad, to have such a harvest on the first day." Chen Shang took out that flower of divine soul again, and when Luo Tianjin saw it, he could not believe it. Luo Tianjin was very excited in his heart, but he did not become happy. He asked with a heavy face, "I only gave you 50,000 Shenyuan stone, and you only have 45,000 left after buying the purple yuan divine grass. The middle-grade divine soul blood would need at least 300,000 to 400,000 to purchase it." Chen Shang quickly explained and told Luo Tianjin everything, but he did not mention anything about Zhang Zhou and Song Peng, as he felt that these things were not very important. "So that's how it is, this is the 500,000 Shenyuan stone, this old lady seems a little strange. Last time, Ji Yu Lao San also bought a pretty good Zongpan medicine from her for a very low price, that price was what she called herself." Luo Tianjin handed over a storage bag to Chen Shang. There were 500,000 Shenyuan stone inside. The old lady asked Chen Shang to bring a few more Shenyuan stone tomorrow. In order for Chen Shang to not take any more credit, Luo Tianjin gave more than enough Shenyuan stone. "It's still early, it's all right to go now." Chen Shang looked at the sky. It was only afternoon. Tomorrow morning, whenever she tells you to go, you can go. The old man has a weird temper, so as to not make her unhappy. Luo Tianjin said, you can go rest now. He suddenly started to miss Long Shui and the others when he entered his room. In the past, when Long Shui chattered non-stop with him, he wouldn't be so bored anymore. Now, he could only go train. I wonder how master is doing. Chen Shang really wanted to go find Huang Jintian, who knew where Yi Baidong had gone to with this elder. Chen Shang cultivated with his eyes closed. He possessed the 4 great taboo magic and the 7 devil-slain kung fu that the devil-killing heavenly god had taught him, so cultivating it required a lot of time. It seems like I have to put down the 7 devil-slain kung fu. After I master the 4 great taboo magic, it might be easier to cultivate it. The 7 devil-slain kung fu and the 4 great taboo magic have a lot in common. Chen Shang cultivated for an entire night, and after he woke up, he made a decision to temporarily stop and cultivate the 7 devil-slain kung fu. Before dawn, Chen Shang immediately set off for Shu Lingfei's home. He really liked this sensible little girl, so when he went there, he carefully picked out some delicious fruits and some flower juice. Very quickly, he passed through 2 villages and arrived at Shu Lingfei's doorstep. It was already dawn. Once he arrived, Chen Shang felt that something was amiss. There was no one in the room, and he had also felt a trace of Zhang Zhou's aura, which was floating high in the sky. Yesterday, when Zhang Zhou was so fierce towards Shu Lingfei, he already caused Chen Shang to worry a little in his heart, but now, he could confirm that Zhang Zhou came here very early. He walked to the outside of the fence and observed the ground carefully. He discovered that the footprints of Shu Lingfei and the old lady were arranged neatly and were taken by someone else. In the morning, the ground was rather moist, and the soil made it easier to leave footprints. Chen Shang followed the footprints and felt Zhang Zhou's and Song Peng's scent. Do these guys want to follow Fei Fei and the others to the herb-gathering place? Chen Shang blamed himself in his heart. If he had been more ruthless and killed Zhang Zhou and the others yesterday, such a thing would not have happened. He never thought that Zhang Zhou and the others would actually have the thought of making a move against mortals. He thought that the Supreme Divine Palace's restraints were very strong, but it seems like it was only to this extent. Now, Zhang Zhou already had the thought of making a move on them and their ancestors. Chen Zhang's heart also became sinister and ruthless. Following those footprints, Chen Shang arrived deep within the mountains. His speed was fast, and his heart was heavy as well. Even though there were many beautiful sights along the way, it was as if he didn't see them, because he was extremely worried that this cute little girl, Shu Lingfei, would be harmed. Deep in the mountains, the aura of Zhang Zhou and the others became more and more obvious. Even though they were deep in the mountains, there were no divine beasts in sight, so the old granny dared to bring Shu Lingfei in to pick medicinal herbs. More than an hour passed, and in the end, the entire journey ended. Chen Shang felt like he had traveled for a year, and looking at the small footprints on the ground, he could see Shu Lingfei skipping and jumping inside, which made him even more worried. They were definitely going to snatch the divine medicine the old lady and the others collected, and dealing harm to mortals was an extremely serious matter. In order to prevent it from being leaked out, they would definitely silence them. Not long after, Chen Shang heard Zhang Zhou scolding her. Damned old granny, I'll give you one more chance. If you don't hand over the divine medicine, I'll cut off this little girl's hand first. Your sword hall is still the same as ever, and the disciples are always this tyrannical. Hurry up and let Fei Fei go. I can guarantee that I won't tell anyone about what happened today. You all should be well aware of the consequences of your actions. Although the old lady's voice was calm, there was still a trace of anxiousness in it. Chen Shang immediately determined that Shu Lingfei was already in Zhang Zhou's hands. As expected, Shu Lingfei's crying voice could be heard. Bad person, quickly let me go. The furious Chen Shang immediately used his spatial energy and instantly dashed over, appearing behind a man. Shu Lingfei was grabbed by a man, and Zhang Zhou and Song Peng were in front, threatening the old lady. Chapter 1923. Chen Zhang's sudden arrival had already caught the attention of Zhang Zhou and the rest. In the moment they turned to look at Chen Shang, Shu Lingfei had already used his spatial teleportation and snatched Shu Lingfei away from the man's hands. Chen Shang. Zhang Zhou was shocked, but he secretly rejoiced in his heart, because Chen Zhang's sudden appearance here gave them a chance to eliminate Chen Shang. Previously, he had planned to lure Chen Shang to a place with no people and kill him secretly. Chen Zhang's face darkened, his heart was filled with anger. Are you guys not afraid of Supreme Divine Palace's punishment? You actually dare to make a move on mortals? Zhang Zhou laughed out loud. So what, as long as Supreme Divine Palace doesn't know, it's fine. It's not like this has never happened before, many disciples have done it in secret, and you wouldn't reveal it, because you're going to die very soon. Seeing that he was saved, Shu Lingfei stopped crying and hid behind Chen Shang obediently. At the same time, he glared at Zhang Zhou and the rest of the bad guys. Chen Shang brought Shu Lingfei and teleported to the old lady's side. His teleportation made Zhang Zhou and the others jealous, because they couldn't do it as well as Chen Shang. Chen Shang said coldly, "So you're saying, you intend to kill me?" Zhang Zhou took out a divine sword. "I will definitely kill you. Don't worry, after I kill you, I will immediately let this little girl and that old woman accompany you in death." Although Zhang Zhou believed that he could deal with Chen Shang, he still had his reservations towards Chen Zhang's sword and had, who was by his side, attacked together with the other three men. Chen Shang snorted in disdain. A layer of frost suddenly appeared on the ground in front of them, as tiny ice dragons emerged from the ground and tied up Zhang Zhou and the others who were about to rush over. Chen Zhang's 6 realms power was equivalent to the power of the ancient code. Although he did not grasp the laws of ice, his heavenly god level's other 6 divine powers were more than enough to deal with profound god like Zhang Zhou and the others. No matter how powerful Zhang Zhou and the others were, Chen Shang was still a god and was much stronger than them. In Chen Zhang's eyes, Zhang Zhou and the others were like a few strands of grass. As long as he was willing, they could easily harvest it. You are an Empyrean god. Song Peng was the same as well. The last time Chen Shang fought with Song Peng was around 2 years ago, and at that time, Chen Shang was only a middle profound god. But now, he was a god. It was precisely because of this that Zhang Zhou thought that Chen Shang was so strong that he could only be considered a super profound god. For the 5 of them, who were outstanding Sword Hall disciples, to take Chen Shang down was as easy as flipping his palm. Chen Zhang's voice was extremely cold, and was even more bone-piercing than those ice dragons. "To be honest, I wanted to kill all of you yesterday, but as soon as I entered the Supreme Divine Palace, I was more concerned about the rules of the Supreme Divine Palace. I had always thought that no one would dare to challenge the authority of the Supreme Divine Palace, so I endured it and followed the rules of the Supreme Divine Palace. But just now, I heard that many people secretly broke the rules. I knew that I was too naive. It seems like as long as Supreme Divine Palace does not know, then nothing will happen to me." Chen Zhang's words, which were filled with killing intent, caused Zhang Zhou and the others to feel cold from head to toe. Chen Shang was now a god, killing them was just too easy. Chen Zhang's face revealed a sinister smile, and gazed at Zhang Zhou. His face that was originally full of arrogance, gradually revealed fear and despair. The others were more afraid than he was. They, who were born in the Supreme Divine Palace, had never been threatened by death. Even if they went out to hunt divine beasts, they had absolute confidence in escaping. But now, death didn't come, but the terrifying feeling filled their hearts, making them endure the torture of hell. It was a kind of mental torment. Chen Shang, the disciples of the Supreme Divine Palace rarely kill each other. Once we die, the Supreme Divine Palace will definitely find out. The frightened Zhang Zhou calmed down. He was after all, the Hall Master of Wind Hall, and was more or less capable. Zhang Zhou was still very hopeful right now. Previously, he had already heard from Chen Zhang's words that Chen Shang did not dare to break the rules because he was afraid that the Supreme Divine Palace would know, so he used this point to negotiate with Chen Shang. Song Peng and the rest were all hopeful as they waited for Chen Zhang's answer. Chen Shang did not make a sound, but he still struck out with his sword. His sword stabbed into the forehead of a man, and that man was the one who grabbed Shu Lingfei just now. His forehead was pierced by Chen Zhang's god-slaughtering sword, but there was no blood at all. This was because Chen Shang had injected 6 streams of cold energy into the god-slaughtering sword, freezing everything in the man's body. Chen Shang slowly pulled out his sword, and this was his reply to Zhang Zhou. In Chen Zhang's eyes, there was nothing worth negotiation. Zhang Zhou and the others had already made up their minds to kill the old granny and Shu Lingfei the little girl, but they actually dared to do this, so it was unforgivable. Crash! After the man had been stabbed by the sword, his body, which had been frozen into ice, instantly shattered and died just like that. Chen Zhang's sword came out very quickly, but Shu Lingfei did not see it, and was covered by the old granny's eyes. Looking at Zhang Zhou's eyes that were suddenly filled with shock, Chen Shang laughed coldly. "You all grew up in the Supreme Divine Palace, so you haven't killed anyone before, right?" As he spoke, another man turned into a pile of ice fragments. Whether or not he brandished his sword, neither Song Peng nor Zhang Zhou could see it, because it was simply too fast, so fast that it exceeded the speed of nature, making it hard to believe. It was true that Zhang Zhou and the others had not killed anyone, they had only killed some divine beasts. However, there was still a huge difference between killing people and killing people. In this aspect, they were just too weak compared to Chen Shang. In the blink of an eye, another man was sliced into pieces by Chen Zhang's sword. He landed on the ground, turned into ice crystals and melted away. Zhang Zhou felt as if he had fallen into an abyss of hell. The fear before death caused him to break out in a cold sweat as he regretted it endlessly. He regretted doing such a thing. Let's go. With two light slashes from Chen Shang, Zhang Zhou and Song Peng turned into ice crystals, and following a gust of cold wind, they dissipated, dying extremely cleanly. Chen Shang turned around and looked at the elderly behind him and smiled. Old granny, everything is fine now, let's go back. Chapter 1924. If the Supreme Divine Palace found out that Chen Shang had killed off the 5 of them, it would be a heinous crime. Right now, that old granny and Shu Lingfei were also aware of this matter. Chen Shang only hoped that they would keep their mouths shut. It was due yesterday. Chen Shang gave the old lady of the 105,000 Shen Yuan stone, smiled and said. He was right behind the old lady, while Shu Lingfei was holding onto a small fruit in her hand and was jumping around beside Chen Shang while eating. Looking at her happy expression, it was as if nothing had happened. The old lady said, "Young man, you really are a good person. If you didn't come in time, I really can't imagine what would have happened." Chen Shang smiled and said, "It's good that you're fine now." As a form of gratitude, the old lady had wanted to reject the Shen Yuan stone that Chen Shang had passed to her, but Chen Shang still forced her to hand it over. Returning back to the small hut, the old lady carried the broth with the divine medicine. It was very tasty, but because the effects were too strong, Shu Lingfei only added a small spoon to the porridge. "Old granny, didn't you say yesterday that you have even better divine medicine today? I have already prepared some Shen Yuan stones and they are waiting to be purchased." After Chen Shang finished the soup, he asked with a smile. The old man chuckled and took out a jade box. Inside the box was a small piece of jade the size of a thumb. Chen Shang took the box and upon seeing it, he immediately frowned, because he did not know what it was. This thing looked like a shrunk jade lotus. It was crystal clear and cold to the touch and carried a faint fragrance. Under the strong light, the inside of the plant emitted a faint green glow. This is called the god lotus root. It is a good thing and can be used to refine pills. If it is used for cultivation, the god lotus and lotus that will grow in the future will also be medium shengpin medicine. The old man introduced the strengths of this lotus root. Chen Shang nodded his head, although he did not know him, but based on his experience, he could deduce that this was a pretty good zongpin medicine, and one that could make the plants evolve. "How many Shen Yuan stone are there?" Chen Shang asked. 200,000. The old man sighed. "After we obtain these Shen Yuan stone, Fei Fei and I will leave immediately. I'm worried that I will cause you trouble in the future." The old lady also understood how much risk Chen Shang and the others took to kill Zhang Zhou, and was extremely grateful in her heart. Chen Shang looked at Shu Lingfei who was playing in the yard, sighed, and gave the old man the 200,000 Shen Yuan stone. "You guys can stay, but I have given you trouble." The old man shook his head. "Last time I was harassed by those fellows, I planned to leave. You don't have to blame yourself, you're different from the other disciples in Supreme Divine Palace, I can feel it." Chen Shang looked at the cute and innocent Shu Lingfei, and asked, "Fei Fei has been drinking the divine medicine meat soup you made, her aptitude should be good." "Of course not, so I plan to take her to a place where she can learn from me. I'm already old, so I hope that before I die, she can grasp the power to protect herself." Chen Shang was a little shocked. Isn't there only Supreme Divine Palace in this sovereign divine realm? Where else can I go to learn from my master? The elderly man laughed. "Looks like you came from outside. You must have passed through the Supreme Divine Palace's trial to enter here. No wonder you are so powerful. You should not know that this sovereign divine realm is connected to several other divine realms. It's just that this place is controlled by the Supreme Divine Palace, and the 6 divine regions in Beast Wasteland are all here." Chen Shang didn't know, but no one had told him before when he had first entered. Now, he was secretly relieved as well, because if the matter of him killing Zhang Zhou and the rest were to be exposed, he still had a chance to escape. This place wasn't only controlled by the Supreme Divine Palace. I'll take her to the Heavenly God Lake. My old partner was there to learn her skills, so if you have the chance in the future, you can go there to find Fei Fei. The old man could tell that Chen Shang really cared about Fei Fei. Chen Shang nodded his head, and took the Heavenly God's Lake to heart. He suddenly felt that the world that the Supreme Divine Palace was in was just as grand as the God's realm, and maybe the 9 great divine nations were also located inside. Big brother, you have to come often. Shu Lingfei still didn't know that her grandmother was going to take her away tomorrow. She waved her hands to bid farewell to Chen Shang and also carried a large bag of immortal fruits in her arms. As Chen Shang walked along the road, he felt that the old lady was definitely not simple and appeared to be extremely calm. He suddenly felt that even if he did not make a move, Shu Lingfei might still be fine. Shu Lingfei's parents were definitely not ordinary people. Perhaps it was because of some things that the old lady and Shu Lingfei were hiding here. Once he returned to the Supreme Divine Palace, Chen Shang immediately ran back to his own Dan Hall. On the way, he did the same as last time, and left a copy of the God Root for himself. Luo Tianjin did not go out, and instead waited for Chen Shang to return. The divine soul and blood flower that Chen Shang brought back yesterday made him extremely happy. The 3 Gu brothers had not returned yet, so they went to interact with the disciples of the other Dan Halls. They also went out early in the morning and returned only at night. Kid, what did you bring back? Luo Tianjin asked with a smile. This thing is called the God Lotus Root. I don't know much about it. Was that old man deceived when he offered 200,000 yuan? Chen Shang knew that this was a Zongpin medicine. Although he did not know the value of it, he knew that the old lady would not lie to him. Luo Tianjin opened the jade box and saw the thumb-sized jade lotus. He almost popped out his old eyes. He originally wanted to shout out happily, but he immediately covered his mouth, because he needed to keep a low profile in this kind of thing. Only 200,000. Did that old lady take a fancy to you? This is too damn worth it. This is an extremely good item. Luo Tianjin lowered his voice. This matter must be kept a secret. Do not tell this to the 3 brothers, otherwise with their flaunting names, the entire Supreme Divine Palace will know within a few days. Chen Shang was extremely surprised, and asked softly, what exactly is this thing? Only after Luo Tianjin led Chen Shang to a secret room did he dare to speak loudly. He carefully looked at the jade lotus root under a bright night illumination pearl and exclaimed in admiration, exquisite. Brat, this thing has only appeared in the past 1,000 years, and its main function is to neutralize and refine the divine pills. Brat, this thing has only appeared in the past 1,000 years, and its main function is to neutralize and refine the divine pills. Luo Tianjin treasured the jade lotus very much. I will carefully plant it, and when it grows up, I will give you some. This is your contribution, I will remember it. Chen Shang finally understood the benefits of the divine lotus. Although it was easier for him to use the original source refining to concoct the pill formulas, if he added a few of these divine lotuses into the mix, it would be much easier to refine. As for the biggest use, it was to refine the divine medicines that were difficult to compatible with, but also extremely useful after being compatible with one another. Chapter 1925. Chen Shang had gained quite a lot from the start, so he wanted Chen Shang to be responsible for purchasing items in the future. Brat, how about you go and buy the divine medicine in the future? No matter what, you don't need to go there every day. Normally, you would go there once every month or 2. You won't even need that much time. Luo Tianjin chuckled. If you can purchase good things, you'll get plenty of benefits. Of course, Chen Shang was very willing, because the divine medicine that he had bought, by copying it on the way, would be equivalent to his. He didn't even need to use his own Shen Yuan stone, which was very cost-effective. No problem, Chen Shang immediately agreed, and said, Hall Master, I want to refine some divine pellets. Do you have any methods that are suitable for me? Chen Shang had the divine pill formulas, and Feng Yuji had passed them down to him, but he didn't have the divine medicines for the divine formulas. Even if he had them, he didn't want to refine them in this supreme divine palace, so he was worried that the old divine pills gods here would see through him. Using the supreme divine palace's divine medicinal formula was good for a lot of things, but there would definitely be divine medicines. As long as Chen Shang could obtain the divine medicines and the divine formulas, he was confident that he would be able to refine the divine pills. When Luo Tianjin asked about the divine pill formulas, Luo Tianjin was troubled. Brat, although I think highly of you, but you may not know the rules of the Supreme Divine Palace regarding the divine pill formulas. Although I have the pill formulas, and even created my own divine pill formulas, I cannot pass them down to you. Indeed, Chen Shang did not know that the Supreme Divine Palace had also controlled this area so strictly. Luo Tianjin was a very powerful pill god and he had even grasped a few divine pill formulas, but the majority of them came from the Supreme Divine Palace. So what? Chen Shang was already able to refine Shengpin Holy Dan S. He was going to start refining a divine pellet. He urgently needed to refine it easier, and he also needed to refine a divine pellet that had enough divine medicines. Luo Tianjin laughed. Don't worry, even though I can't directly pass you the divine pills formula, I can give you the Shengpin Holy Dan's formula. Chen Shang felt that the Shengpin Holy Dan was useless to him and he did not really need it. Just as he was about to reject, Luo Tianjin laughed again. I gave you the Shengpin Holy Dan's pill formula so that you could obtain the divine pill formula. Don't be impatient to reject me. Chen Zhang's eyes lit up as he sat down. From what Luo Tianjin had said just now, he had a very high chance of obtaining the divine pill formula. There is a Dan Heart Pavilion in Supreme Divine Palace. You only need to go there once to pass the examination, and you will get the chance to enter the Dan Heart Pavilion once to search for the divine pill formula. Luo Tianjin said. But you can only take one type of divine pills formula when you enter, and that will depend on your luck, whether or not you can get the more common divine medicines formulas. Chen Shang nodded, he was rather interested in that test. Luo Tianjin said, that examination should be very easy for you, as long as you can refine the Shengpin Holy Dan he specified, and I can give you the pill formula for that kind of Shengpin Holy Dan. Actually, this rule is to prevent alchemists from refining more divine pills. This is because the method to obtain a pill formula depends on luck, and there are many divine pill formulas inside. Although there are some duplicates, it is very rare to get the same pill formula. This way, many outstanding alchemists will have different pill formulas. Was secretly excited, he then asked, after I pass the examination, I can only get one pill formula. Then, what about the second method? Then you have to give Dan Heart Pavilion some benefits. When the time comes, he will specify how many divine pellets you refine or ask you to do one thing for him. That way, he will give you another chance. Luo Tianjin laughed. You have just joined our Dan Hall, don't be in such a rush to think about those things. First, you have to obtain the shopping Dan's pill formula and successfully refine it. Chen Shang understood and asked again, what if I want the divine medicine? It couldn't be that I went out to look for it myself, right? Luo Tianjin pressed his finger against the center of Chen Zhang's brows. You will know after passing the examination. I will first give you the concentrated Shengpin Holy Dan's medicinal formula, you can refine it yourself. When you have passed the examination, you will naturally know how to find the divine medicine within the divine medicine formula, and you will have to rely on yourself to do this step by step. Chen Shang had obtained a few of the Shengpin Holy Dan's pill formulas, and Luo Tianjin had also given him some high-grade holy medicines, which were all not very valuable, as Luo Tianjin had quite a few of them himself. You should refine it yourself. Your pill refining methods are very different from mine, so I can't teach you how to use my hands. Luo Tianjin warned again, don't tell anyone else about the spirit lotus yet, just wait until I grow more of it. Chen Shang smiled and nodded, then happily returned to his room. Inside his room, there was a staircase leading to the underground. Underground, there was a very quiet secret room. This was the training room. After Chen Shang entered the room and closed the door, he took out the god-slaying lotus that he had copied out first, and carefully looked at it for a while before putting it away. If he wanted to copy it, he could very quickly create a large pile of it. There are a total of 4 saint pills. Each of them is made up of 3 high-rank saint medicines and 2 mid-rank saint medicines. The difficulty is not high at all. Chen Shang could even figure out the pill formula by himself, but in his eyes, the purple profound Dan was far more difficult to obtain than these holy pellets. He immediately started refining using the original source refining. In just a night's time, he had successfully refined these 4 Shengpin Holy Dan, and each furnace could refine 3 or 4 pills. Of course, if he was to go for the assessment, he only needed to fulfill the requirements. The second day, Chen Shang came out of the training room and actually saw Yi Baidong. This elder of the Supreme Divine Palace had not come to this place after taking Huang Jintian away. Elder, Chen Shang greeted him. He did not expect Yi Baidong to appear in his room. Yi Baidong nodded, as his expression turned serious. Your master has already left the Supreme Divine Palace. When he learned that the Supreme Divine Palace is in the Divine Realm, he couldn't help but want to go out and take a walk. Chen Shang didn't feel anything. Huang Jintian was just like that. It would be weird if he would obediently stay in the Supreme Divine Palace. Chen Shang, I need to leave for a while. I don't want to leave either, but there seems to be a force pulling me away. Yi Baidong said in a deep voice, during the time that I'm away, you must be careful because a divine nations is urgently calling for me. I want to make a trip to that divine nations. Chen Shang frowned and nodded his head. It was impossible for those divine nations to not know about his summoning, and now that he had come out and even came to the Supreme Divine Palace, they would definitely ask Yi Baidong about it. Don't worry, if those divine nations really want to make a move on you, I will do everything I can to protect you and bring you out of the Supreme Divine Palace. Yi Baidong patted Chen Zhang's shoulder as he left with a heavy heart. Chapter 1926. Although Yi Baidong was an elder of the Supreme Divine Palace, if the pressure those divine nations gave him was too much, he wouldn't be able to take it either. At that time, he would also be in danger, so he had to prepare to escape the Supreme Divine Palace. He had to find a way out for himself. Not long after Yi Baidong left, Luo Tianjin returned. He did not know that Yi Baidong had come to visit, and after seeing Chen Shang, he laughed out loud. Brat, how's your training going? When do you expect to be able to take the examination? When Chen Shang saw Luo Tianjin, his face broke into a smile. In another 2 days, it should be fine. Actually, Chen Shang could go today. It was just that he did not want Luo Tianjin to be too shocked, but Luo Tianjin was still shocked. You learned how to refine a kind of Shengpin Holy Dan in one night. Luo Tianjin was also known as a prodigy in pill refining in the past, but it took him around 10 days to learn this technique. Furthermore, the holy pellets he refined were also rather poor. Chen Shang smiled and nodded, then followed Luo Tianjin to the living room in the small courtyard. Hall Master, is the sovereign god realm connected to other places? Chen Shang asked. When I went to purchase the divine medicine, I heard that 6 realms divine palace and beast divine palace were also in this space. Luo Tianjin poured Chen Shang a cup of very fragrant wine and said, you have just arrived in Supreme Divine Palace, so of course you don't know about this sort of thing. Even though it's all connected, it's still not easy to go over, and you need to get permission from either the 6 realms divine palace or the beast divine palace to do so. Our place is called Super God Realm. Other than the 3 shrines, there are also several sects of various sizes. They are all quite strong. If you have the chance in the future, you can go visit those places. Chen Shang did not ask about anything else, in order to avoid being suspected by others. Now that he already knew that this place was not controlled by the Supreme Divine Palace, if the worst-case scenario occurred, he would have a place to run to. Brat, you better hurry up and refine the divine pellet because the Dan Hall's competition is going to start soon. These few days, they have been discussing the alchemy skills, which is also what those 3 guys are arguing about. Luo Tianjin laughed. They are still arguing. After that, it's time for them to compete with each other. Chen Shang said, Hall Master, didn't you want me to compete in the Shengpin Holy Dan's last time? Luo Tianjin took a sip of the fragrant wine and laughed. Originally, but I can see that you are about to reach the realm of the Pill God, so when the time comes, I will arrange for you to go to the Shopping Dan's competition grounds so that you will receive more rewards. Chen Shang was extremely interested in this competition, and nodded his head. When the time comes, I will definitely go. Oh right, Hall Master, do you have any younger, more talented alchemists among all these? Luo Tianjin said, of course there is. To tell you the truth, the Supreme Divine Palace is also a place where the divine nation selects the best seedlings, and within the Dan Hall, there are a few young people that are highly regarded. I have to admit that these brats are too heaven-defying. At such a young age, they already possess such a cultivation, and all of them are able to refine Zongbin Dan's. Those youngsters that Chen Shang met during the trial were all real youngsters and were not old monsters like Chen Shang, who had lived for many years. And the young people that Luo Tianjin referred to should also be real youngsters. Amazing, he can refine Zongbin Dan. Chen Shang sighed. I probably won't meet them during the competition. They're all at the level of refining Zongbin Dan. Luo Tianjin chuckled. This is hard to say, although those few brats can refine Zongbin Dan's, in the eyes of many old fellows, they are still too young. If they were to go to the Zongbin Dan's competition grounds, they would definitely be oppressed to death, so it is very possible that they would go to the Shopping Dan's competition grounds, and from there intentionally not obtaining the qualifications to become a god, it can be seen that If they could refine Zongpin Dan, they would be able to receive a mid-rank pill god's badge and their treatment would be a little higher. However, they didn't do that, obviously wanting to get a good ranking in the lower-ranked pill gods competition before going up. Chen Shang asked. So that means, the ranking for this competition is very important to them. How often does this kind of competition occur? Once every 100 years, for them, it is very important. Once they obtain the top 3, they will be invited to the Divine Nations' Imperial Palace, where they will be able to eat with the princes and daughters of the Divine Nations. If they are lucky, and are chosen, they will be able to soar in the sky and become related to the Imperial family. To have the chance to go to the Divine Nations, Chen Shang was palpitating with excitement. Only the Dan Hall has such a chance. Of course not, there are Boxing Hall S, Sword Hall S and Soul Hall S. When the time comes, they will also have competitions. Luo Tianjin said, the Divine Nations that we are going to meet with are also different. Boxing Hall and Sword Hall are both secretly supported by one Divine Nations, while Soul Hall and Dan Hall are supported by the other 2. Chen Shang never thought that the Dan Hall he was in was actually so unsafe. Although they are supported by the Divine Nations, these Divine Nations do not place much importance on this place. Our pill formulas and the like are all considered inferior by them. Luo Tianjin sighed. If we want to have a better development, then we can only go to those Divine Nations. Divine Nations' power is very scary. Of course Chen Shang knew. If it wasn't terrifying, would he be able to control the Supreme Divine Palace? After chatting with Luo Tianjin for a while, Chen Shang ran back to the secret room with the excuse that he wanted to concoct pills. A few days had passed and 3 Gu brothers had already returned. When Chen Shang came out of the secret room, he heard their ruckus. They were not arguing, but it was as if they were cursing the alchemist of other Dan Hall. Junior brother, I heard that you managed to buy a divine soul and blood flower. Not bad. Seeing Chen Shang walking over, oldest Gu also anxiously walked over and patted Chen Zhang's shoulders. When the divine soul and blood flower comes out, you have to get the hall master to look after us. Chen Shang smiled and nodded. Definitely, my fellow disciples, how are you doing discussing it with the other Dan Hall S? All of them went to fart. Why the hell would they go to those idiots to discuss about pill refining? Old Gu and Old Third looked a little displeased. The 3 brothers were unhappy about what had happened a few days ago, and it was obvious that they had suffered a great deal. Luo Tianjin walked over, pushed aside the 3 brothers, and gave Chen Shang a jade plate. This is our 10th Hall's identity plate, don't lose it, you can go to Dan Hart Pavilion to take the assessment now. Chen Shang received it, took a glance at it, and then put it away. He then said to 3 Gu brothers and Luo Tianjin, then, I'll be leaving first. Pill God assessment, you're so amazing, I wish you good luck. I wish you good pill formulas. The assessment is successful. The 3 brothers encouraged Chen Shang. The number of Dan Hall S they had was relatively fewer, so adding a young pill god would allow their overall strength to increase. After Chen Shang finished thanking them, he quickly walked out of the courtyard and headed towards the Dan Hart Pavilion. Chapter 1927. The Dan Hart Pavilion was only at the 5th floor and it was very small. It was not as grand as the shrines he saw in the God's realm, so it was insignificant in comparison. Chen Shang entered the door. It was cold and lonely. In the spacious hall, an old man sat on a table, and was currently reading a book. There were the fewest people in the Dan Hall, so it was not surprising that the Dan Hart Pavilion was so quiet. Every year, there were only a few people who joined the Dan Hall, and that was something to be surprised about. The old man only glanced at Chen Shang before continuing to read the book, and said slowly, young man, did you walk in the wrong place, or are you here to deliver something? Chen Shang walked to the side of the table and said, I'm here to take the pill god's assessment. Only then did the old man focus his gaze on Chen Shang, his expression somewhat surprised. Really, show me the plate. Chen Shang handed over his plate, and then the old man said, so it's from Old Camel's side. I did indeed hear that a disciple came here just now, but you just arrived and are about to undergo the assessment. Are you ready? The Shengpin Holy Dan you want to refine is not an ordinary Shengpin Holy Dan, it's extremely difficult to refine. Chen Shang had already made sufficient preparations. Those Shengpin Holy Dans were indeed harder to refine than others, but for Chen Shang who was using the original source refining, it was not difficult at all. I'm ready. We can start now. Chen Shang smiled confidently. The old man immediately took out a box. He patted the box and it immediately opened. Inside were 3 red fruits and 2 red flowers. The ultimate flame holy pellet, take away these ingredients and then go to the secret room over there to refine them. I'll watch from the side. The old man pointed at the secret chamber. Chen Shang had already told him before when he took these ingredients, that he would extract one of the Shengpin Holy Dan and let him refine it. The ultimate fire god pellet was mainly useful for fire attribute profound goddess, as it was a very good sacred pill for fire attribute profound goddess. The old man brought Chen Shang into the secret room and said, "You can only use the specified pill furnace. You have no objections, right?" No objections. Even if he did not have a pill furnace, Chen Shang would not say anything. The pill furnace in the secret room was not too bad, it was much better than what Chen Shang had concocted before. The inside of the secret room was relatively bright. After the old man entered, he sat on a chair and continued to read his book. He waved his hand, signaling Chen Shang to start. Chen Shang looked at the medicinal ingredients in his hands. After a simple and quick process, he released a flame to preheat the pill furnace and at the same time, familiarized himself with the furnace, allowing him to refine the pills more easily. These were all relatively normal steps. After doing all this, Chen Shang threw all the medicinal ingredients into the furnace. Even though the old man was reading a book, he had been carefully observing every step of Chen Zhang's body. When he saw that Chen Shang had thrown all of the medicinal ingredients in right from the start, this kind of random stewing method was simply not suitable for concocting a holy pellet. The old man quickly said, "Little guy, although these herbs aren't expensive, don't waste them. If you fail this time, you can only come back after 5 years." Chen Shang replied, "I won't fail." Chen Shang was using the original source refining, so he did not need to follow the steps of the medicinal recipe. If he were to do that, he did not know when he would be able to refine the ultimate flame holy pellet. Seeing that Chen Zhang's furnace was very stable and did not move at all, the old man immediately felt that it was strange, because the biggest reaction of this random stewing was to explode the furnace. If one's control was not good, then under the burning of this flame, the furnace would start to shake very quickly. But now, this didn't happen. The old man stopped reading and started to carefully examine Chen Zhang's pill furnace. He wanted to see what was going on inside the furnace, but he couldn't understand. The more the old man looked at it, the more he felt that it was strange. Right now, he could already confirm that the pill refining techniques Chen Shang used were different from the ones he was familiar with. After burning those medicinal herbs to a certain extent, Chen Shang immediately used his spirit eyes. Seeing the spirit blood of the sacred medicine, his divine power turned into several spirit claws, capturing those spirit blood and then merging them together, allowing all of the spirit blood to fuse together. In this way, these medicine aura that originally rejected each other slowly began to fuse together. To not be too scary, Chen Shang controlled his speed to a slow degree. Moreover, he had to secretly absorb some medicine aura into his body, if not he would condense a few pellets later. The current Chen Shang didn't want him to get too much attention, so he tried his best to keep a low profile. Originally, Chen Shang had been able to quickly refine the extreme fire holy pellet, but he forcefully dragged it out until night before he started to condense the pellet. Although there were many questions in the old man's mind, he did not disturb Chen Shang. He patiently watched. He had always wanted to see through the pill furnace, to see what kind of strange things actually happened inside, because when the few ingredients to refine the ultimate flame holy pellet were put into the furnace to burn, even a wise pill god would not be able to silence the furnace during the fusion. But Chen Shang did not have that right now, and at this time, it was about time for him to condense a pill, which meant that the stage of fusion had already passed. From the very beginning, Chen Zhang's pill furnace had been calm, and did not shake at all. Now that Chen Shang had opened the furnace, there was a supreme fire holy pellet inside. Its quality was extremely good, causing the old man to exclaim in admiration. "Just what pill refining technique are you using?" The elder hurriedly asked. "This definitely wasn't taught to you by old Luo." Chen Shang smiled slightly. "This is called the original source refining, you can't talk about the specifics." Original source refining. Original source refining. The old man looked at the burning pill in his palm, and chewed on it repeatedly as he fell into deep thought. It was as if he could see through Chen Zhang's pill refining skills from just these words alone. "Senior, did I pass the test?" Chen Shang waited for a moment, and asked softly. "Of course I passed." The old man came back to reality and anxiously said, his face revealing a smile. He wanted to ask about the original source refining specific refining technique, but this technique was not passed down to him. He could not ask about it, it was taboo. The old man brought Chen Shang to another room, and there were many jade tokens hanging there. The old man said, "These are all Shopping Dan's pill formulas, pick any one yourself, and once you have chosen a drop of blood, you will be able to see the contents." The recipe for the divine pill required a certain amount of luck, because if you didn't pick the right pill, it would be hard to find, or if you didn't use it often, then there was no point in refining it. The old man smiled, "Don't think that you can see through the divine pill recipes inside. These jade plates were made by experts." Chen Shang had indeed planned for this, he had already secretly unleashed the Chaos Divine Eye. In the beginning, he did not see anything, but as the six realms' power continued to pour into his eyes, he could barely make out a few words on these jade plates, which made him feel extremely happy. Even though he was unable to see the specific pill formulas, he was already very satisfied with the descriptions of the divine pills. At the very least, he wouldn't be able to get his hands on the inferior pill formulas. Chapter 1928. With just a glance, Chen Shang could already see the words carved into the jade plates. He was carefully reading the descriptions on each jade plate, and the details of what kind of pills the pill formulas would produce, as well as the effects of the divine pills. In his eyes, it was a very normal thing. Every time he received a new disciple like him, he would always encounter this kind of situation, because the most important thing was to choose the signboard. Although he could not see anything, but in order to console himself, he had to carefully consider choosing the signboard. But now, Chen Shang was able to see part of the contents. There were many divine pill formulas here, and Chen Shang had already read through a large portion. He could not help but curse in his heart, as the recipes of many divine pills were all very deceptive. Now he finally understood why Luo Tianjin said that their pill formulas were all those inferior goods that the divine nations did not want. After careful consideration, Chen Shang finally chose the Bone Level Dan pill formula. Although it was a shopping Dan, Chen Shang felt that it was very useful, because this kind of divine pill could cause the spirit inside the bones in the body to condense bones, something that was similar to divine deity, could strengthen the body. To condense bones was not easy, there were no good techniques, and there were no other methods. Before the time came, he could only cultivate this using the method of tempering his body in order to try his luck. Later on, there were people who discovered that by consuming some divine medicine, one could condense bones or something like that. Later on, there were people who created Bone Level Dan. Chen Shang didn't know about the existence of bones until he saw the Bone Level Dan. The pill knowledge and memories that Feng Yuji passed on to him finally came up with something related. Feng Yuji did not have any of these pill formulas either, but to be able to appear here made Chen Shang feel that it was a little unexpected, because most of the other pill formulas were very poor, and should be entertainment created by the pill gods in divine nations when they were bored. But the use of this Bone Level Dan was extremely large, it was a divine pill that surpassed the limits of the physical body. "I want this one." After Chen Shang took off the plate, he mixed the blood with it and immediately got the pill formulas inside. The refining method and the ingredients formulas were all clearly displayed in his mind. "What divine pill is this?" the old man asked hurriedly. "Bone Level Dan, I wonder if the medicinal ingredients for this pill are good enough for us to find." Chen Shang muttered, if the medicinal ingredients to be refined were too difficult to find, then he would need a very long time to make it. The old man was shocked. "Your luck is not bad, this Bone Level Dan is a type of divine pill that can evolve, there are both high, middle and low rank, and is also relatively rare in the divine nations. If it was an evolution type divine pill, then even Shopping Dan could be more precious than other Zongbin Dan." This was because the weakest of these divine pellets were the low-quality pellets, but the effect and usage of the low-quality pellets were greater than those of the other Zongbin Dan, so their value surpassed them. Generally speaking, a divine pill that could be used on upper, middle, and lower quality would be more precious. A human's body has a total of 9 parts that can condense bones. Bones would normally fuse with a few strong beasts' divine soul in order to obtain the innate abilities of those divine beasts. It might be easy to condense the first bones, but the further one goes, the harder it becomes. The old man continued, if it's at the same cultivation level, with bones S and powerful beast divine soul S, one's strength would rise by a lot, and in divine nations, bones S are also an important criterion to judge one's strength. Chen Shang only knew that it could condense bones, but did not know that it could condense 9 bones S. Usually, only the Supreme God would start to think about bones. Of course, it's best if you can do that right now, because bone-level Dan is not something that can be obtained immediately just by eating it. It only has a type of inducing effect, and can induce an opportunity for you to condense it yourself, but even so, bone-level Dans are still precious. The old man was very knowledgeable about medicine pills, and he was explaining it to Chen Shang patiently. Chen Shang nodded, and immediately thanked the old man for telling him so much. How can I find these medicinal herbs? Chen Shang had asked Luo Tianjin before, but he would naturally understand after Luo Tianjin told him that she had passed the examination. The old man brought Chen Shang to the hall and said, "If you want to obtain the divine medicine, go to Supreme Hall and paste a piece of paper on it. On it are the herbs that you need and the conditions to purchase them." Chen Shang left Dan Heart Pavilion and returned to his Dan Hall. 3GU brothers and Luo Tianjin were waiting for him there. When they saw him return, they immediately rushed over, grabbing him and asking questions. "What kind of Shengpin Holy Dan did you refine during the examination? Did you pass? What pill formula did you get?" Chen Shang answered with a smile. "The pill I refined during the examination was Ultimate Flame Holy Pellet, and the pill formula I obtained was Bone Level Dan." After finding out that it was the Bone Level Dan, Luo Tianjin's originally smiling face immediately turned serious. Then, he dragged the three brothers who were still in shock into the secret room. "Listen, the three of you, don't say anything about Chen Shang obtaining such a pill formula. The pavilion master of the Dan Heart Pavilion should know about it too. I'll go greet him later and have him keep it a secret." Luo Tianjin looked at 3GU brothers sternly, his voice extremely serious. 3GU brothers also immediately understood and nodded hastily. Chen Shang was a little puzzled, and asked, "Why do you want to do this?" Luo Tianjin frowned and said, "It's impossible for a pill like the Bone Level Dan to be placed into the Supreme Divine Palace. I understand the alchemists. I think they threw the pill formula in by mistake. The moment they find out, they will definitely take it back. At that time, they might even need to use a secret technique to clear your memories." Chen Zhang's expression changed. He never thought it would be like this. "Then do I still need to purchase the Bone Level Dan's medicinal ingredients?" Chen Shang asked. "Doesn't that mean I can't openly refine this Bone Level Dan?" Luo Tianjin nodded his head. "Unless you can create your own divine pill formula, you will only be able to participate in the competition of Shengpin Holy Dan S. You have not refined your divine pill yet, so on your signboard, you are only a superior pill saint. However, you can still purchase the medicine, because no one knows about the Bone Level Dan's pill formulas, but you still have to be careful." Chen Shang really wanted to participate in that competition, but he couldn't use the Bone Level Dan. The divine medicine that Feng Yuji had given him also couldn't be used. "I'll go check out the Supreme Hall first." Chen Shang could only plan to create the divine pill formula by himself now. Chapter 1929. The competition at Dan Hall was going to start soon. If he was going to create a brand new divine medicine formula, it would take a long time. Chen Shang would definitely not make it in time, so he planned to use the old method. It was to see through other people's divine pellets and then refine it yourself. With the help of the original source refining, a divine pellet that had a similar effect but was even better than the original recipe would be created. When the time came, he would just be competing in refining the Supreme Dan beads and not competing in its effectiveness. Therefore, he planned to improve some of the rare divine pills. There were many disciples walking around Supreme Hall, and in this huge hall, there were many stone walls. On the walls were many pieces of paper stuck to the walls, and on them were many notices that asked to be bought or sold. Usually, it required a very high price to attract attention. One of them was a shopping Dan seller called Yuxin Dan, and was a type of divine healing pellet. After consuming it, one's internal organs would be quickly healed, and the medicinal strength would then be released through their internal organs to achieve the purpose of healing the body. There were many kinds of healing panacea, but their effects were almost the same. Most were because there were many panaceas, and the backlash was not public. Therefore, many alchemy gods started to concoct a lot of healing panaceas. Therefore, Chen Shang decided to purchase the Yuxin Dan and improve it. He still had 200,000 Shen Yuan stone on him, but this Yuxin Dan wanted 150,000 Shen Yuan stone. Normally, shopping Dan S would pay such a price, so Chen Shang did not plan to bargain. He recorded the details on the paper, and then went to find the person who released the information. The other notices that he was paying attention to were all for the sale of shopping Dan, and he was more satisfied with this Yuxin Dan. From the 9th hall of Dan Hall. Chen Shang thought in his heart as he left the Supreme Hall for the 9th hall. Although he was from the 10th Dan Hall, he was a distance away from the 9th hall. After finding the 9th hall, Chen Shang stood outside the door of it. It was the same as the 10th hall, a single courtyard with a few rooms and a large hall inside. After knocking a few times, someone quickly opened the door. Is something the matter? The one who opened the door was an old man, with a medicinal scent on his body. It was an alchemist. I want to buy Yuxin Dan. The notice did not leave any name, it only mentioned the 9th hall. Chen Shang politely smiled and said. The old man opened the door wide and said, the pill god of our 9th hall is on sale. Come in. Chen Shang followed the old man to the hall, where the old man went to knock on the doors of the rooms, to call the alchemist who was selling the Yuxin Dan. Chen Shang sat in the hall and drank his tea. Seeing the alchemist walk in, he almost spat out his tea. Feng Yuji was not surprised to see Chen Shang, because she already knew that Chen Shang would come, but Chen Shang did not know that she would be here. Previously, Huang Jintian had told him that Feng Yuji and LV Kilian had appeared after he had summoned the 9 Heaven Devil Palace. Pretend you don't know me. Feng Yuji anxiously transmitted to Chen Shang. The old man who opened the door for Chen Shang walked in, and Chen Shang also calmed down. Junior sister, this is the person who said he wanted to buy your Yuxin Dan. After speaking, the old man walked out of the hall. Feng Yuji dressed simply, a set of white dress with a tinge of yellow already appeared. Her hair was simply tied up, but was extremely neatly combed, and the special charm on her face had already been restrained. She did not have the attitude of a strong female warrior from back then, and she looked just like a pretty lady. Even if she was like this now, Chen Shang watched with relish, because compared to her seductive temperament from before, Feng Yuji now had a different kind of charm. What are you looking at? Stop looking. Feng Yuji snorted softly, causing him to laugh wickedly. Can't you have a little less Yuxin Dan? Chen Shang asked. Since he was someone he was familiar with, there was room for discussion. He did not have such plans previously. No, it's 150,000 Shen Yuan stone. Do you want them or not? Feng Yuji gracefully sat down and looked outside, then spoke to Chen Shang via sound transmission. I'm really lacking Shen Yuan stone. What do you want to do here? You have the Supreme God Bone, so the use of this pill is not very useful for you. Furthermore, your body's self-recovery abilities are so strong, you probably don't need it. If you really need it, I'll give it to you. Feng Yuji had treated Chen Shang very well, because she knew that Chen Shang had treated her and her sister well. You just need to tell me what kind of medicine you used to refine it. I want to improve it. Chen Shang said. I want to participate in the competition at the Dan Hall. I need to refine a type of divine pill before I can join the group of shopping Dan. Feng Yuji asked curiously, with your abilities, passing the Dan Heart Pavilion's examination won't be difficult. You lack the divine pill formulas, you can be considered careful and didn't use the divine pill formulas that I passed down to you. If there were any divine pills that appeared, you won't be able to pass. Chen Shang sighed. I passed the Dan Heart Pavilion's assessment, but I obtained the bone level Dan's pill formula. My hall master told me to keep it a secret, so I cannot refine this pill. I can only return to my original job. Feng Yuji had long known that Chen Shang had the ability to see through other people's pill formulas, but now that she knew that Chen Shang had the bone level Dan's formula, she was shocked. Sister Feng, when did you come in? Chen Shang asked. I thought you were with big sister Kilian and the others. I came here as soon as you entered the 9 Heaven Devil Palace. A few days ago, I secretly went back to visit and met with the younger 9 girl. I already know about your situation in the 9 Heaven Devil Palace, but I didn't expect it to be so complicated. Feng Yuji sighed. I'll leave the heavy burden of saving 9 divine kings to you. If I can help, I will do my best to help you. Feng Yuji had already told Chen Shang the medicinal ingredients that the Yuxin Dan needed. You already know. I don't need to say anything more. Sister Feng, how did you sneak back? Chen Shang also wanted to go back quietly. It's no longer possible now, the 9 Divine Kings' secret passage has already been sealed. You don't have to worry, those women of yours are all fine now, don't worry. Feng Yuji kept on looking at her with that evil eyes, causing her to feel extremely uncomfortable. Chen Shang asked, Sister Feng, can you sell your Yuxin Dan? Feng Yuji shook his head. I have been dead for many days already, and only you have asked around. I have the divine pill formulas, but I need a lot of precious herbs, and I don't have any Shen Yuan stones either. Chen Shang chuckled. I'll buy your Yuxin Dan now, you should have more ingredients, give me a portion, I'll copy some and help you earn some Shen Yuan stone, I'm good at this aspect. Chen Shang had been training with Lu Munger and the other girls for so many years, she naturally already knew that they had cultivated many spirit pearls with Chen Shang. Thinking of this, and the look Chen Shang gave her just now, she couldn't help but spit. Chapter 1930. Chen Shang also needed some Shen Yuan stones to buy some medicinal ingredients. In this super god realm, there were a lot of high-level divine medicines, so it was a good opportunity to buy them. Feng Yuji herself also planned to sell the pellet for medicine in exchange for a few Shen Yuan stones, and then purchase a large amount of divine medicines. However, it was not that easy for her to do it herself, because she did not have the ability to replicate those heaven-defying medicines. This is the Yuxin Dan's medicine. The Yuxin Dan was the divine medicine I got from passing the Dan Heart Pavilion's assessment. The difference is so great that no one bought it for me. Feng Yuji did not think highly of the Yuxin Dan, because among the healing shopping Dan, it was much better than the Yuxin Dan, and the price was only slightly higher than the Yuxin Dan. Chen Shang received the medicinal ingredients Feng Yuji gave him, and of them, 2 were enough for him to refine. He also gave Feng Yuji 150,000 Shen Yuan stone. Feng Yuji said, when I buy the ingredients for my divine pellet and sell it, I will return the Shen Yuan stone to you. Feng Yuji did not dare to use the pill formula that she gave to him previously because she was afraid that it would attract attention. Feng Yuji also said just now that the Divine King's pill formulas were all unique, and would easily attract attention. You want to use the God King's pill formula? Chen Shang was extremely suspicious of this, he clearly said that it could not be used. Of course not, this pill formula is not the God King's, but the Dan God Yi's. I have to admit that this guy has some ability. He created a pretty good pill formula himself, if I can successfully refine it, it would be very easy to sell. Feng Yuji said. That Dan God Yi did not make things difficult for the Hell Devil Emperor and the others back then, so she gave Chen Shang a good impression. Sister Feng, how did you sneak into the Supreme Divine Palace? In order to enter the Supreme Divine Palace, I went through a very cruel trial. Chen Shang asked, and he did not know Feng Yuji's purpose for coming here. Feng Yuji laughed. I have a supreme god bone and because of the God King, I came in. I first entered the super god realm, then Elder Yi called me in. It was this easy. Chen Shang suddenly thought of something important, and that was Xiao Chou. Xiao Chou was the same as him, he was also qualified to participate in the trial. He hadn't asked Tuong Jintian before, and Yi Baidong also didn't mention anything about Xiao Chou to him. I almost forgot about that bald kid. Chen Shang patted his head. He was extremely worried at the moment. If he did not see Xiao Chou here in Supreme Divine Palace, then Xiao Chou would be in danger. Feng Yuji asked, you said that he is your bald disciple from Great Strength race. Chen Shang hurriedly nodded. That's him, do you have his whereabouts? He came to see me once during the 70 to 80 years you were missing. He asked me if I had seen you, and I haven't seen him since. Feng Yuji frowned slightly. He and the bald-headed brat were very strong back then, seems like they were much stronger than you. Chen Shang heaved a sigh of relief. This meant that Xiao Chou had already passed the trial, and was most likely inside the Supreme Divine Palace, maybe even earlier than him by a lot, because he had lost 70 years of time during the trial. What are you doing in the Supreme Divine Palace? Just with your relationship with the 9 Divine Kings, if those divine nations find out, you would be in danger. Chen Shang said. I'm here to inquire about some news from the divine nations. This will be beneficial to me in the future. Feng Yuji said. Now, LV Kilian is secretly developing, with Shang Yu and Qianshan refining the pills, they can quickly become stronger, but God's realm is extremely lacking high-level medicines, so I had planned to come here to gather some, but who would have known that the passage back to God's realm was suddenly blocked? Chen Shang sighed. I also want to go back to take a look. I wonder how God's realm is doing now. Feng Yuji said. It's best that you don't go back, since there are already 3 divine nations who sent guards to investigate the affairs of the 9 Heaven Devil Palace, and they already know that you are the one who did it, and they also know that you have the 6 realms mirrors on you, they are looking for you, and most importantly, they are trying to steal your 6 realms mirrors. Looks like I have to hurry up and become stronger. Alright, I'll go back first. If there's anything else, I'll come find you. Chen Shang finished his cup of tea and stood up to tidy up his clothes. How many halls are you in? Feng Yuji asked. 10th Hall, you are welcome at any time. Chen Shang chuckled, the hall masters and senior brothers are all very well. Feng Yuji stuck his tongue out at him and urged him to leave quickly. When Chen Shang left the 9th hall, he immediately went to look for Luo Tianjin. Luo Tianjin had no other matters, he would always be in his room. The moment Chen Shang entered the courtyard he would immediately shout, Hall Master. Hearing Chen Zhang's shout, as long as Luo Tianjin wasn't in closed-door cultivation, he would immediately open the door and walk out. Brat, has something good happened? Luo Tianjin asked with a smile. Good things don't happen every day. Chen Shang laughed. I want to ask you, I want to find a friend here, how do I find him? He also came here through a trial, and he entered much earlier than me. Luo Tianjin said. You go to the Supreme Hall to find the old man sitting at the counter. You said that he is from Sky Sovereign Dan Hall, then he can help you search for the records of the new disciples. If that friend of yours came in, you should be able to find him. Hall Master, you're really amazing. Even the old man and the manager of the Dan Heart Pavilion have such good relations with you. Chen Shang had an expression of worship on his face, as he nonchalantly flattered Yu Yang. Luo Tianjin laughed. Of course, of all the Dan Halls, I am the most popular one. Other people might not know the Hall Master's name if you were to go out and talk about the 9th Hall and the 7th Hall, but if you were to report the name of the 10th Hall, everyone would know that it's mine, so my 10th Hall also has a nickname, called Sky Average Dan Hall. If Yi Baidong did not let you join us, I would not have accepted you back then. Now, many alchemists want to come over to my side. Luo Tianjin said in a smug voice, so you little rascal, to be able to enter my Dan Hall is a great honor, and something that you should cherish well. Chen Zhang's eyes lit up, and he asked, Hall Master, if a friend of mine wants to transfer halls here, is it okay? She is also an alchemist, and her level is extremely high. Luo Tianjin asked curiously, you even know the other Dan Hall as, you just entered not long ago, if your relationship with that guy is good and is trustworthy, I would agree to let him in, so you have to be sure of the character of your friend. Chen Shang did want Feng Yuji to come over, so they could have a companion. He smiled. My friend is a woman. Luo Tianjin immediately opened his eyes wide, interrupting Chen Shang. Bastard, you already knew alchemist as soon as you came in, you little brat, don't you know that there are a lot of alchemists who are single? Chen Shang scratched his head and laughed. She and I have known each other for a long time. I will talk to her about it later to see if she is willing to turn around. He did not go to the 9th Hall immediately, because he knew that Feng Yuji was definitely not in there. He should be going to the Supreme Hall to purchase some sort of divine medicine. Chapter 1931. There were also many beautiful women in the Supreme Divine Palace, but there were the least in the Dan Hall and there were a lot of other halls, especially the Sword Hall, where the most beautiful women were located. After Feng Yuji entered the Supreme Divine Palace, she had restrained herself quite a bit. Right now, she could already control her kind of mysterious and enticing power, and at the same time, dress herself up simply, so she was not too eye-catching in the Supreme Hall, because there were a lot of beautiful women dressed up here. After Chen Shang entered, he came to the counter. He saw a few men mumbling to themselves, saying that the old man was very black-hearted and something like that. Now, Chen Shang finally understood why there were so many people in Supreme Hall, but why there were so few people who came to the counter to question him. Old sir, I am from Dan Hall Tianjin. Chen Shang immediately reported his background, in case he was scammed later on. The old man at the counter was tall and thin. He had a head of short white hair and a small goatee. His skin was very white and tender without any wrinkles. He looked very energetic. Show me your jade tablet. If you pretend to be one of Camel's men, then you'll be out of luck. The old man laughed sinisterly, causing Chen Zhang's heart to tremble. He quickly took out his identity plate and handed it over. After the old man read it, he returned it with a smile. As expected, it's just like what old Luo said, "Hey young fellow. Why did you look for me? I won't take your Shen Yuan stone. Then, I will thank Senior first. I want to find a person who has entered the Supreme Divine Palace in these past few decades. He is bald, and he is I came in after passing the trial." Chen Shang lowered his voice and said, "Can you find it?" The old man immediately said, "There is one baldy, but he didn't pass the trial to come here so far, only you have passed the trial to come in. You are sure that your friend has passed the trial?" Quote. Chen Shang was immediately suspicious. Could it be that Xiao Chou had not passed, but he had sought Feng Yuji out after the deadline? If he had not gone for the trial, he would have died, he would not have been able to find Feng Yuji. Are there any portraits of that Baldi? Chen Shang asked again. After entering the Supreme Divine Palace, he had never met a Baldi, so he looked around with the only hope in hand. The old man took out a piece of paper from the storage magic treasure and gave it to Chen Shang. He has been in the Soul Hall for decades, and has gone out with their hall master. He has already been out for a few months, and should be back very soon, so he should be the first hall of the Supreme Soul Hall Divine Hall. This bald head is very outstanding, and might become the first hall master. The old man said. Chen Shang couldn't understand why Xiao Chou didn't go through any trials, but still went into the Supreme Divine Palace and did it so well. He had originally guessed that Xiao Chou was going to the boxing hall, but he hadn't thought that it would be the Soul Hall. This was also pretty good. When he needed Beast Divine Soul in the future, he could go and find Xiao Chou. Chen Shang thanked the old man once again and strolled around Supreme Hall. He quickly found Feng Yuji, who was currently looking for a place to post her purchase notice. Sister Feng. Chen Shang patted Feng Yuji's shoulder and laughed. Feng Yuji turned his head and saw Chen Shang approaching. He smiled. It's great that you're here, help me find a good place. The notices that were posted in the Supreme Hall were all bought from the counters, and were valid for 10 days. After 10 days, they could be torn down, and if they did not expire, the counters would know that if they caught one, they would be punished by many Shenyuan stone. In the lower right corner of the announcement, there was a countdown, such as 7 days, 6 days, 5 days. If it was not displayed, it meant that time was up. The spirit energy on the notice paper had also disappeared, and tearing it down would not result in any punishment. Chen Shang released many Divine Souls, and quickly found over 20 outdated announcements, which he could tear. I found more than 20 locations. How many pieces of paper do you have? Chen Shang asked. 1A. Every piece of paper is worth 200 Shenyuan stone, it can only be used for 10 days. That old man is very evil, buying 20 of them would cost more than 4,000 and it would be done in 10 days. Last time I went to ask him something, and he actually charged me 1,000 Shenyuan stone. When he talked about the black-hearted old man at the counter, Feng Yuji got angry. Chen Shang couldn't help but laugh, then pulled Feng Yuji's hand and walked away. Brat, where are you going? Feng Yuji asked. Take out the notice paper, you only need to paste one. It's hard to find. Chen Shang said. You have to post more, or else who knows how long you will have to buy it for. How could I have so many Shenyuan stones? Buying 20 of them at once would only take 10 days, and if we were to split them up, it would take 200 days. It would be more worthwhile, since I have the time. Although Feng Yuji did a good job in the God's realm, with a lot of good money, but in this place, money was useless as scrap metal, so she was very thrifty right now. Chen Shang had already pulled Feng Yuji to the counter. Feng Yuji did not want to come here, because she felt a shadow over the black-hearted old man. Old mister, I want to buy some notice paper, can it be cheaper? Chen Shang said to the old man. When Feng Yuji heard this, he thought to himself, if you know how to be cheap, then I'm dead. The old man from the Supreme Hall is the #1 bandit in the Supreme Divine Palace. When the old man saw that it was Chen Shang, he immediately took out a stack of paper and laughed, take it. Feng Yuji was immediately stunned. This made her feel like what she was seeing was an illusion. This black-hearted old man actually gave Chen Shang so many pieces of paper for free, there seemed to be at least 50 of them, and he even told Chen Shang to use them before taking them. Chen Shang hurriedly thanked her, then pulled Feng Yuji to a place where they could stick some more, and stuffed the stack of papers back to Feng Yuji, take it. Feng Yuji was still in a state of shock. After taking the medicine, after confirming that it was usable, he took a deep breath and asked, what relationship do you have with him? Nothing, because I'm from the 10th hall. Oh right, do you want to transfer halls? My hall master said he can let you transfer there. Chen Shang laughed proudly. It's really possible, of course I want to go over. I have long heard that many alchemists want to transfer over, but he doesn't accept them. Just with the advantage of being able to take the notice paper for free, how could it not move Feng Yuji's heart? With Chen Zhang's help, Feng Yuji had quickly put up 50 pieces. When the two of them returned, passing by the counter, they saw a few middle-aged men dressed in sword hall attire talking to the old man with a serious expression. Zhang Zhou is dead. Also, Song Peng, and the 3 hall masters who were on good terms with Zhang Zhou are all dead. Help me release a message and search for relevant clues. Chen Shang was holding on to Feng Yuji's jade hand as he walked out. When he heard these words, he was shocked, but at the same time, he couldn't help but increase his strength by a little. Feng Yuji could clearly feel it and was also shocked in his heart. Chapter 1932. Feng Yuji secretly scolded Chen Shang. Not long after he entered, he had already killed a few Supreme Divine Palace disciples, and a few of them were of the Hall Master level. Of course, she wasn't the least bit surprised that Chen Shang would do such a thing, otherwise, it wouldn't be Chen Shang at all. Furthermore, she knew that Chen Shang wasn't the last resort, and definitely wouldn't kill people. Although Feng Yuji and Chen Shang were secretly shocked in their hearts, they calmly walked out of the Supreme Hall. I'll go look for my Hall Master first. When I transfer to another hall, I need to greet him. You just have to wait for me in the 10th hall. Feng Yuji said. She did not ask Chen Shang about killing Zhang Zhou and the others, because this was not a suitable place to do so. Chen Zhang's face became gloomy. He was not afraid, he was only worried that it would be found out. He nodded and returned. Kid, how is it? Have you found your friend? Seeing that Chen Shang had returned, Luo Tianjin shouted loudly. Yes, but he's already gone out with his Hall Master and won't be back for some time. That's why I can't see him for the time being. Chen Shang laughed. Hall Master, you are indeed very capable. That old man from Supreme Hall confirmed that I am from the 10th hall, and thus gave me a lot of convenience. Luo Tianjin laughed proudly. Of course I, Luo Tianjin, am capable. I will let you experience me more in the future. Chen Shang said. My friend from the 9th hall has already agreed to come over, maybe she will come looking for me later. Right after she finished speaking, Feng Yuji appeared at the courtyard entrance. When she saw Chen Shang, she ran in while laughing. Head, this is the friend I was talking about. Chen Shang never thought that Feng Yuji would be so fast. Greetings, Hall Master. Feng Yuji greeted politely with a sweet smile on his face. Luo Tianjin laughed. There's no need to be courteous, bring your plate over, I will help you change it, from now on, you are part of our 10th hall. Feng Yuji walked up and handed over her identity jade tablet to Luo Tianjin. After receiving it, Luo Tianjin muttered, Feng Yuji, lowly divine pill gotta. After reading some information from Feng Yuji's jade tablet, Luo Tianjin branded the 10th hall into the jade tablet. Haha, before, those guys always said that no female disciples would come into our 10th hall. Let's see what they will say now. Luo Tianjin was very happy as he returned the jade token to Feng Yuji. Luo Tianjin had always hoped that there would be an outstanding female alchemist in the 10th hall, but the young female alchemistess would usually choose those Dan Hall S who were ranked in the top few, and the conditions offered by those Dan Hall S were also very good. Not only his 10th hall, but many other Dan Hall S did not have any female disciples. Yujia, wait a minute, let me see how I can expand this place. I will build a house and an underground alchemy room for you. Luo Tianjin had a headache, because he did not know that his own Dan Hall would suddenly increase by so many people. He converted many empty rooms into a huge pill refining room, the one where the 3 GU brothers had competed together to refine pills. Right now, he could not change the pill refining room, because the 3 GU brothers had been competing in that place for many years. If it suddenly disappeared, they would feel very sad, and in order to make the Dan Hall harmonious, Luo Tianjin planned to expand this house. Chen Shang suddenly said, no need, Sister Feng can stay in the same room as me. Feng Yuji was startled, but of course she would not agree. She was just about to reject him, but she felt that it would be better this way, because she and Chen Shang both had some secrets to share, so living in the same house was not bad. You've developed that relationship. Luo Tianjin was very surprised. He stared blankly for a while, then laughed with an, I understand, expression. Feng Yuji quickly explained, no, we are only at the same level, we are siblings, and we used to often play together. The rooms are very big, we can separate them, I don't mind that, but this way, you won't need to trouble yourself with the Hall Master's work. Quote. Although Feng Yuji explained it this way, Luo Tianjin still laughed mischievously. Then it's settled, or else I would have to get the approval of a few elders and hall masters for the expanded construction. It would be somewhat troublesome. At night, Chen Shang, Feng Yuji and Luo Tianjin were having dinner in the living room. Luo Tianjin personally cooked many delicious dishes. Third senior brother hasn't come back yet. Chen Shang asked. I haven't seen them for a day. Luo Tianjin held onto the food and laughed, ignore them. Quickly eat, and try out my dishes. Those 3 fellows probably went to look for other halls to make a bet. Chen Shang and Feng Yuji both picked up their dishes, but just at this time, the three Gu brothers returned. They walked to the door of the living room, and when they saw that there was a woman there, they couldn't help but be shocked, as if they had seen something shocking. Who is it? The oldest Gu asked in surprise. This little girl. Feng Yuji greets her three senior brothers. Feng Yuji immediately stood up and saluted the three Gu brothers gracefully. Luo Tianjin immediately said, "Why are you being so polite to them? Quickly cook, continue eating, ignore them." Three Gu brothers seemed to have understood that this woman was their junior sister, and one that had just joined them, but they still did not dare believe it. That doesn't make sense. Gu Laoer was stunned for a long time as he spat out these words. Yu Jia was originally in the 9th hall, so they knew each other since a long time ago. When they bumped into each other here, they told her to turn around, and it was rude of the three of you, especially with your current appearances. A Luo Tianjin shouted. Three Gu brothers sat down quietly with a smile on his face. This was because their 10th hall finally had a female disciple. That's right, where does junior sister live now? Why don't we destroy that large alchemy room? Oldest Gu asked. No need, she lives with Chen Shang. Luo Tianjin said. Oh. Oldest Gu was startled, and then understood. Feng Yuji was too lazy to explain anymore, but when she saw Chen Zhang's smiling lowly appearance, she secretly stepped on Chen Zhang's leg. Eat, we have more people now, and not long from now, we will let them see how powerful we are in the Dan Hall. Luo Tianjin was extremely happy. After eating, they chatted for a while before returning to their own rooms. Chen Zhang's room was relatively large, even with 2 beds, it was still spacious. Brat, don't mess around tonight, otherwise, you'll be out of luck. Feng Yuji pouted and warned as she entered the tight bathroom to take a bath. There was also a bathtub in the room. After Feng Yuji entered the bathroom, he was soaking in the bathtub, snorting for a bit as he washed his body. After Feng Yuji finished showering, he couldn't help but stamp his feet when he saw that Chen Shang was actually washing his body in front of her. Chapter 1933. Chen Shang saw that Feng Yuji was a little angry and laughed. I don't mind if you see me, what do you mind about? Feng Yuji lied down on the bed, covered her delicate body with a thin blanket and snorted at Chen Shang. Wash faster, I still need to rest. Turn your head, I'm going to stand up. Feng Yuji laughed sinisterly. Feng Yuji immediately turned over, and Chen Shang quickly stood up and put on her clothes. After he laid on the bed, Feng Yuji sent him a sound transmission. Did you really kill those guys? I was the one who killed them. In that situation, I had no choice but to kill them, or else the one who would be in trouble in the future would be me. Don't worry, they won't find out. I did very cleanly at that time. Chen Shang said. Tell me what happened. Feng Yuji was a little curious. Not long after Chen Shang came in, he started to make enemies with others. Chen Shang told Feng Yuji everything about how he went through the trial to enter the Sword Hall, and how he had a conflict with Zhang Zhou and the others when he was picking the herbs. These guys really have to kill them. Feng Yuji had already known about the Divine Lotus Root. So you're saying that you have a Divine Lotus Root in your hands? Chen Shang said. Of course, but back then when I copied it, I used up many of my spirit pearls, so if I wanted to duplicate it now, I would need to condense a lot of spirit liquids myself. If I had spirit pearls, it would be a lot faster. Feng Yuji was also clear that the effects of the alive slain method's dual cultivation would be many times greater than that of the spiritual liquid he condensed alone. We're not in a hurry to get the spirit lotus right now. We need to learn how to concoct more divine pills first. Feng Yuji said. You will start refining the Yuxindan tomorrow. I will continue to purchase my medicine and help you pay attention to the movements of the Sword Hall. You have to prepare for the worst yourself. If by any chance you don't find out, you will immediately leave the area under the jurisdiction of the Supreme Divine Palace. Chen Shang had thought of this since long ago, but now he felt that they wouldn't be discovered, otherwise they would have found clues long ago, because with the death of the 5 important Sword Hall disciples, they wouldn't just disappear, it was enough for the Sword Hall to send out a lot of power to investigate. Sister Feng, do you want to learn my heavenly alchemy? Right now, your focus is mainly on refining pills. If you were to learn heavenly alchemy, there would be more pills produced. Chen Shang said. Of course I do. When I first saw Shang Yu and the rest concocting so many pills, I was already envious of them. Is this hard to learn? Shang Yu and Qianqin both have a heavenly alchemy foundation, so I'm worried that it will be difficult for me to enter the sect. Feng Yuji said. Even though she had received guidance from the Divine King at a young age, she had never trained in the heavenly alchemy, so she did not understand it at all. It's not that difficult because your foundations are not bad. Let me enter your divine sense C and I will pass on to you the heavenly alchemy that I've learned. Chen Shang and Feng Yuji's relationship was so close that he wasn't stingy at all. Don't mess around when you enter my divine sense C. Feng Yuji scoffed. Chen Shang laughed. As long as you don't do anything to my divine soul. The last time Feng Yuji had entered Chen Zhang's divine sense C, he had seen Chen Zhang's divine sense C world, and now Chen Shang also wanted to see Feng Yuji's divine sense C. Chen Shang walked up to Feng Yuji's bed, and gently tapped the center of Feng Yuji's brows with his finger, and a thin layer of mist leaked out. Feng Yuji relaxed his body and allowed Chen Shang to enter her divine sense C world. Very quickly, Chen Zhang's divine soul arrived at a magnificent palace. Looking at this palace, Chen Shang could not help but be shocked. Isn't this heavenly divine palace? Just a moment ago, he really thought that he had appeared in the 9th heaven of 9 Heaven Devil Palace. Pretty much, my divine sense C world is just like that, because I really want this heavenly divine palace to appear anew. Feng Yuji's divine soul gradually appeared in the air, and appeared in front of Chen Zhang's face. TL. Chen Shang followed her into a beautiful and quiet garden. You can pass on your skills to me now. Feng Yuji sat on the grass in the garden. Chen Shang also sat down, and began to pass his heavenly alchemy to Feng Yuji. It was already morning and Chen Shang had already finished transmitting his skills. Because Feng Yuji did not have the same cultivation base as Wu Qianchen and Wu Qianchen, imparting the techniques to him would be extremely difficult as well. Fortunately, Feng Yuji had a very high comprehension, and under the method of transferring his skills through the divine soul, he quickly comprehended a few things. No wonder you always make pills that can shake the sky and earth, these methods are way too magical. Feng Yuji gasped in surprise. The few types of cultivation techniques that you have obtained are the ones that I have currently comprehended. After you become familiar with them, you can go and comprehend your own cultivation techniques. Everyone will be able to comprehend different types of cultivation techniques from them. Chen Shang laughed. Do you want me to pass the alive slain method to you? Feng Yuji lightly snorted. No need, I've known this for a long time. Kilian passed it down to me. The strongest part of the alive slain method was the dual cultivation. When Feng Yuji saw Chen Shang smile so mischievously, she knew that he had that kind of idea, and just as she was thinking that, the clothes on top of Chen Zhang's body suddenly disappeared. Chen Shang was immediately stunned. His divine soul was weaker than Feng Yuji's, so in Feng Yuji's divine sense C world, he could directly control his own divine soul. The clothes on his upper body suddenly disappeared, which must have something to do with Feng Yuji's thoughts. This also caused Chen Shang to think about it. He never thought that the beautiful and pure 9 heavens goddess would actually treat him like this. Very quickly, Chen Shang was forcefully sent out of her divine sense C, and Feng Yuji buried his face in the blanket. Although Chen Shang did not see it, he knew that it must be extremely red. It's daybreak. Hurry up and do what you need to do. Feng Yuji covered her head, and softly said in a pout, Little scoundrel, don't come near me. Chen Shang had a wronged expression on his face, but he did not do anything wrong. Nothing happened just now, I won't bring it up again in the future. You still said it. It's all your fault, it's all your fault. Feng Yuji shouted out. Although her voice was loud, it was hard to hide her embarrassment. Chen Shang chuckled. All right, then it's all my fault, I'll leave now. He immediately ran to the bottom of the secret room to study the Yuxin Dan. Feng Yuji only dared to reveal her head after a long time, but her face was still red. She never thought that she would suddenly have such an idea towards Chen Shang, and when she thought back, her face immediately flushed red. Feng Yuji left for Supreme Hall very early in the morning. She was going to fix her notice, because she was already at the 10th hall. When she arrived at Supreme Divine Palace, she saw the few middle-aged men in charge of investigating the incident with Zhang Zhou. There were also many bounty orders pasted on them, all of them had clues related to the bounty. We've just gotten some clues. On the day before Zhang Zhou and the others disappeared, they went to purchase medicinal herbs. We've checked one by one, and a family has also gone missing. The middle-aged man said to the old man behind the counter, "In the end, we searched around and found traces of a fight, but the scene was very cleaned up and there weren't any clues left behind. However, we learned that the missing family members are a young lady and little girl. We need to find them." Chapter 1934. When Feng Yuji heard this, he was worried in his heart. She had already learned from Chen Shang that the grandfather and grandson pair were going to the heavenly divine profound lake. If they were stopped halfway and asked about something, Chen Shang would be in danger. After hearing what she said, Feng Yuji did not continue modifying her notice and immediately went back to look for Chen Shang. Chen Shang had not started to refine pills yet, but had used his spirit essence to look at the spirit blood inside the ingredients. When he heard someone approaching and sensed Feng Yuji's aura, he immediately stood up and walked over to open the door. "Brat, the people in charge of investigating the situation have found some clues. They are going to look for the old lady and little girl. This is their only clue," Feng Yuji said. "I heard it from the Supreme Hall." Right now, Chen Shang was not worrying about himself, but worried about the ancestor and grandson. He didn't know where they had gone to right now, or else he would have chased after them immediately. Seeing Chen Zhang's worry, Feng Yuji said, "We have been waiting patiently." Chen Shang nodded. "Refine well, wait until we accumulate enough strength, then we'll go take a look at the mysterious sky deity's lake." Feng Yuji comforted Chen Shang. After Feng Yuji left, it took Chen Shang half an hour to calm down. Yuxin Dan requires 3 types of inferior grade divine medicines, and these are shopping Dan that use fewer divine medicines. It's no wonder that they're not welcomed, since the effects are not strong. If I were to add another inferior grade divine medicine to enhance the original abilities of the Yuxin Dan, then it would definitely be very popular. Chen Shang was rummaging through the low-rank divine medicine in his memory, looking at the suitable ones to go with the Yuxin Dan. The spirit orb used to copy the medicinal ingredients was almost used up, and using the spirit liquid slowly, Chen Shang felt that it would be better to refine the pills to exchange for Shen Yuan stone, and then purchase the medicinal ingredients faster. Chen Shang looked at the 3 divine medicines on top of the jade basin. These were all low-grade divine medicines used to refine Yuxin Dan's. Felt that the effects of the pellet that was refined from the crescent moon divine fruit should not be too bad. The Yuxin Dan, on the other hand, was much weaker, and it must be because of some other reason that the effects of the crescent moon divine fruit could not be unleashed, and it was suppressed. The last type was the jade green tree roots, something that many divine trees had. When some divine trees grew to a certain age, the roots would turn into jade-like jades that could be used to concoct pills and also have good healing effects. The jasper root and the purple beard are both things that grow only when they have reached a certain age. They can be considered very common, but the crescent moon divine fruit is not the same as these 2 elixirs. After Chen Shang carefully analyzed these medicinal ingredients, he fell into deep thought. If I want to add another medicinal ingredient, then I need to have the same special name as the crescent moon god fruit. At the same time, I need to be able to combine the medicinal ingredients together with the jadeite tree root and the jadeflower purple bee to form a line and fuse these 3 types. The 4th low-rank divine medicine that was added was extremely important. Not only did it have to have a strong enough healing effect, it also had to be able to reconcile the other 3 divine medicines. What is suitable? The knowledge that Feng Yuji had imparted to him was constantly flashing through Chen Zhang's mind. 2 hours had passed and Chen Shang had finally found something that was more suitable for him. The specifics would need to be tried first before he could confirm whether or not they perfectly fused together. Let's first refine a cauldron first. Chen Shang had yet to start concocting pills, and the reason he was concocting pills now was only to familiarize himself with the true specialties of the Yuxin Dan's various medicinal ingredients. He only had 2 sets of Yuxin Dan's ingredients in his possession. After refining this batch, he would have to make a copy which would consume all of his spirit liquid. After a day's time, he successfully refined a batch of Yuxin Dan. His original source refining on top of refining divine pellets also had a very good effect, allowing him to quickly finish refining them. The first time was not going to be easy. It would take a long time and a lot of patience. 4 pellets, if I sell one for 100,000 Shen Yuan stone, I wonder if I can sell it a little faster. In Chen Zhang's hands were 4 divine pellets that looked like purple jade beads. These were Yuxin Dan's. If it was in the Supreme Hall, then it would need 10,000 Shen Yuan stone. The 3 types of Yuxin Dan's medicinal herbs were all relatively common, and if 30,000 Shen Yuan stone could be received, then even if it was only selling for 60,000 one pellet, it would still be worth a lot. Of course, this was only true for Chen Shang, because he was extremely fast in refining Yuxindan using the original source refining. After familiarizing himself with it, he was able to refine one pot in half a day and could refine 4 pills at a time. If it were any other alchemist that had just touched the divine pellet realm, then it would at least take 10 days, and at the most, half a month. This is the first divine pill that I will concoct after I become a pill god. Chen Shang sighed deeply as he looked at the 4 Yuxindan. He wanted to refine that bone-level Dan even more. He desired bones very much, because it would allow him to have even more power. It was night when Chen Shang came up from the secret underground room. Seeing Feng Yuji quietly sleeping on the side of the bed, that beautiful posture of hers made Chen Shang reluctant to move his eyes away. Feng Yuji suddenly opened her eyes. Although she was fast asleep previously, a strong warrior of her level would immediately catch her if she made a sound, then quickly wake her up. When she heard Chen Shang opening the stone door of the secret room, she immediately woke up. I'm going to take a bath. Chen Shang laughed and immediately went into the bathroom to wash his body. He had concocted pills for a long time and was sweating profusely. Feng Yuji snorted lightly and used the blanket to wrap herself up tightly. Hearing the splashing sound of the water in the bathtub, she couldn't help but think about it, and quickly remembered that Chen Shang was in her divine sense C, making her feel embarrassed and embarrassed. With such a big bed, don't you feel empty sleeping on your own? Chen Shang walked out from the bathroom and said while laughing. None of your business. Hurry up and go to sleep. Feng Yuji's jade face was flushed red, but because of the dim light in the room, Chen Shang did not see it. After Chen Shang laid on his bed, he said, I have already successfully refined 4 Yuxindan. Sister Feng, tell me, if I were to buy 100,000 Shen Yuan stone S, would it be possible for me to sell it quickly? At this point in time, Feng Yuji already had an extremely deep understanding of the heavenly alchemy. She was not surprised at all that Chen Shang had refined 4 Yuxindan. It's still a little difficult. The 80,000 Shen Yuan stone should be able to be sold very quickly. Feng Yuji said. At this time, she was also stirred up, wanting to test the Yuxindan with her heavenly alchemy, to see if she could refine 4 pills herself. Chen Shang asked, how many herbs did you purchase? When he asked about the present, Feng Yuji was a little helpless, and sighed, I was going to buy the same one today, but that guy's asking price is too high, 100,000 Shen Yuan stone, I didn't ask for it. Chapter 1935, she only had the few Shen Yuan stone that Chen Shang had given her. If she were to buy this portion, she wouldn't have much left. Buy his tomorrow, and sell these 4 Yuxindan as well. Chen Shang said, since you have learned the alive slain method, you should be able to condense more spirit liquid in the next few days. Feng Yuji suddenly felt that it was somewhat useless. She was stronger than Chen Shang, and had even inherited the 9 divine kings' legacy, and now that she urgently needed the Shen Yuan stone, since she felt so powerless, she couldn't wait to let Chen Shang help her. Brat, I heard Kilian say that you can condense spiritual beads just by kissing, right? Feng Yuji suddenly asked with a voice as soft as a mosquito's. It was obvious that he was shy. After Chen Shang heard this, he did not immediately reply, but sunk into silence, while his heart thumped rapidly. Feng Yuji obviously had this kind of plan. For him, asking this question was way too unexpected. Yes. Chen Shang was silent for a moment, before calming himself down and saying indifferently, I've heard that this method of condensing spirit orbs has a pretty good effect. After all, the two of us are both powerful gods. Feng Yuji grabbed onto his blanket tightly and bit his lower lip lightly. He was carefully considering whether or not he should do that. Just like this, the room sank into an extremely emotional atmosphere and was silent the entire time. Only after an entire hour had passed did Feng Yuji finally call out in a low voice, come over here. So it's like this, is it really okay? Chen Shang did not go over immediately, which made Feng Yuji a little angry. She did not want to discuss this matter so much, so she hoped that Chen Shang could hurry up and finish this matter quickly by kissing her. If you don't want to, then forget it. Feng Yuji scoffed. You don't know the process. We'll be going on for a long time. Chen Shang kindly reminded him. It was not that he did not want to, it was just that he was worried that Feng Yuji would feel awkward in the future and distance himself from him. Damn brat, if you don't come over, I'll ignore you. Feng Yuji scolded. The moment she finished speaking, Chen Shang appeared on his bed. Feng Yuji had still wrapped himself in the blanket, tightly, and only his head was exposed. Chen Shang lit up the night illumination pearl above and chuckled, "Is this how it starts?" Feng Yuji pouted. "Then what do you want?" Seeing Feng Yuji's red face, Chen Shang also didn't know how to make his move. He smiled and replied, "Indeed, I want you to just take the blanket away, it will feel better if you hug me like that. I won't lie to you, after all, we need to continue doing this until dawn." Feng Yuji had already decided to throw caution to the wind. After kicking away the blanket, he acted as though he was at your mercy. He gently pouted, "Damn brat, hurry up." This was the first time she had played this game. Although she had teased Chen Shang before, she really felt that it was too childish to let such a thing happen. She did not want such a thing to really happen to her. "Sister Feng, you are Sister Yu and Sister Mei Yao's mother, do you think that's good?" Chen Shang laid beside Feng Yuji, using his fingers to caress her white and tender earlobes, laughing wickedly next to her ear. "You should already know that Sister Mei Yao is dead set on me, she's already my woman, and she's your goddaughter." Feng Yuji really wanted to roll over and give Chen Shang a fierce slap. These words at such a critical juncture was clearly meant to tease her. "Stinking brat, stop pretending with me." Feng Yuji flipped his body and pressed Chen Shang down backwards, then directly put his own sandalwood mouth under Chen Zhang's body. That fragrant tongue had already entered Chen Zhang's mouth and was moving around randomly, a little crazily at that. In that moment, Chen Zhang's mind was blank. He never thought that Feng Yuji would suddenly be so intrepid, forcefully kissing him. This was the first time he had experienced this. At that time, Chen Shang was just a little brat that she could do whatever she wanted, while she was the empress that could not. Thinking back how soft she had been to Chen Shang just now, even she felt ashamed of herself. Now that she had the upper hand, she felt really happy in her heart, because she had recovered the confidence that she had in front of Chen Shang in the past. Chen Shang did not allow himself to be outdone, and fiercely embraced her. With a flip, he pressed her down below. Just like this, the two of them turned and turned, both of them wanting to be on top, but their lips were tightly pressed together to kiss, and they did not start cultivating the alive-slain method. It was obvious that they had already been captivated by this wonderful feeling and were unable to extricate themselves, and were deeply intoxicated in it. The two who were kissing each other unknowingly released the feelings they had hidden deep within their hearts. At this moment, they realized that they liked each other quite a bit, but they hadn't said it out loud in the past. The reason why they had such a deep attraction towards each other was because they thought that after coming to this place far away from the god's realm, they would rush over here even more thoroughly. This was because they had left their familiar environment and came to this unfamiliar and helpless place. Of course, they did not know that because they had entered each other's divine sense sea before, and to let others enter their own divine sense sea, it meant that they had an incomparable trust in that person. Faintly, this trust also strengthened the feelings in their hearts. At first, the two were very arrogant, but as time went on, they gradually became entangled, and soon after, they also entered the state of cultivating a live-slain method with great tacit understanding. In the morning, Feng Yuji woke up and sat up. He spat out a light blue spirit race pellet, which was different from the color that Chen Shang had condensed when he had kissed LV Kilian. Chen Shang giggled as he looked at the snow-white breasts that were exposed on the side of Feng Yuji's body. Feng Yuji spat lightly, rolled his eyes, and pulled off his clothes. Although they had done something very intimate, they had not broken through the last line of defense yet, because Chen Shang could feel that Feng Yuji was still unwilling. He was very experienced with this feeling. "I want to keep it." Feng Yuji laid on Chen Zhang's chest and said softly and sweetly, "Let's come back tonight. We can still condense a lot more. It's up to you. You formed it anyway." Chen Shang caressed her long black hair and laughed. "Sister Yujia, you are so beautiful." "Brat." Feng Yuji laughed and pinched his face. "Give me those yuxindan, I'll go sell them." Chen Shang passed the yuxindan to Feng Yuji, and after Feng Yuji received it, he tidied up his clothes and combed his hair, then rushed to Supreme Hall to issue the notice. Chapter 1936. Chen Shang stretched his back, washed up, and then went to find Luo Tianjin. Luo Tianjin was originally resting, but the moment he heard Chen Shang call for him, he immediately opened the door and walked out. "You're up so early, what's the matter?" Luo Tianjin held a bottle gourd in her hand. This bottle gourd was emitting traces of a very strong divine soul energy. When Chen Shang saw the bottle gourd, he knew that it was one of Luo Tianjin's more important divine tools. Hall Master, I would like to ask if it is easy to acquire Junyang Gold Ginseng S here. Chen Shang wanted to improve the Yuxin Dan. He said that the Junyang Gold Ginseng that he needed to add are Junyang Gold Ginseng. Luo Tianjin thought for a moment, then said, there are some, but it's not common. If you want to buy it, you have to prepare at least 150,000 Shen Yuan stone, or even 200,000. Although this kind of divine medicine is very strong, the healing effect is very strong, and some Zongpan Dan would even add this kind of medicine. As long as there was it, Chen Shang believed that as long as he bought it patiently, he would be able to get it. Returning back to the pill refining room, Chen Shang took out the Yuxin Dan's medicinal ingredients and used the remaining spirit liquid he had to replicate. What surprised him was that he could only replicate 2 portions of the elixir. He had expected him to replicate at most 1 portion of the elixir. 8 Yuxin Dan S. If they are sold at a low price, they should be sold out very quickly. Chen Shang took a deep breath and started concocting pills. Although the spirit liquid was already used up, Feng Yuji was willing to cultivate a live slain method with him, and would condense the blue bead. When the time came, he only needed to purchase enough ingredients, and he would be able to use this bead to replicate. After refining 2 batches of Yuxin Dan, it was already afternoon. Chen Shang walked out of the pill refining room and saw Feng Yuji sitting at a table. Chen Shang saw that Feng Yuji's face was filled with a sweet smile, and asked, is there any good news for me? Those Yuxin Dan have been sold. 1 pellet of the 80,000 Shen Yuan stone, we now have another 300,000 Shen Yuan stone. Feng Yuji laughed, besides, I've also acquired 2 of the divine medicines that I need. I'm just short 3 of them. Chen Shang laughed, I also have some good news for you. After he finished speaking, he took out an exquisite jade box and opened it. There were a few jewel-like Yuxin Dan inside. 8 pills. Feng Yuji shouted, today, I copied a portion of the Yuxin Dan's medicine. Oh right, when you go tomorrow, help me paste a notice that I want to purchase the Junyang Gold Ginseng. I plan to merge the Junyang Gold Ginseng into the original Yuxin Dan's medicine. Chen Shang sealed the jade box and placed it in Feng Yuji's hands. Feng Yuji nodded his head. This way, we will be able to gather the required divine medicines very quickly. At that time, we can use the spirit pearl to duplicate them. Chen Shang laughed. We will begin now. By tomorrow morning, we should be able to duplicate 2 pills. Feng Yuji's seductive eyes lightly glanced at Chen Shang, and chuckled, what a naughty little brata, then let's start now. On the second day, Feng Yuji indeed condensed 2 light blue spirit orbs from her small mouth. She gave them to Chen Shang, because the first one she condensed yesterday was left as a souvenir, so she did not use it for Chen Shang to copy. Today, I'll go with you to the Supreme Hall to take a look. I don't have much to do today either. Chen Shang said. Feng Yuji nodded, then walked out of the room and left the courtyard hand in hand with Chen Shang. When they were walking out, they were coincidentally seen by Luo Tianjin. Luo Tianjin shook his head and laughed. These 2 youngsters love each other so much, and even said that they are just ordinary friends. Hall Master, should we register them for the Sovereign Conference? Oldest Gu hurriedly ran back from outside. They had been away for the past 2 days, so they went to prepare. As they were the main forces of the 10th Hall, the competition of the Dan Hall was about to begin. Luo Tianjin already knew that Feng Yuji knew how to refine Yuxin Dan, and he could be considered a pill god. Although Chen Shang had the divine pill formula, he couldn't use it for the competition since he was a bone-level Dan, so he was not a pill god yet. We'll talk about it when he gets back. He definitely has to participate. If he can't participate in the competition, then help him register for the sacred pills. Luo Tianjin said, now, I can help your junior sister register to participate in the shopping dance competition. And Feng Yuji arrived at Supreme Hall and asked the old man at the counter for a few notices. The old man was very willing to give them this notice to save them a lot of Shen Yuan stone s. Why are there so many people here today, especially at Sword Hall? Chen Shang said softly. With a single glance, he saw disciples dressed in Sword Hall robes. Of the 4 great supreme palaces in the Supreme Divine Palace, only the Dan Hall didn't have uniform, so you could tell at a glance that they were from the Dan Hall s. The old man behind the counter laughed. The competition of the Supreme Palace that occurs once every 100 years is about to begin. The outstanding disciples in the various halls have all come back one after another, because this is a great opportunity for them to come into contact with the divine nations, especially with those from the heaven realm. Luo Tianjin had said before, as long as they could get into the top 3, they would have the chance to have a meal with the members of the royal family in the divine nations, and even enter the imperial palace to communicate with the outstanding royalty. Chen Shang was still not sure what group she was going to join, and Feng Yuji was definitely going to join. She came to the Supreme Divine Palace because she wanted to find a way to contact the divine nations. After Feng Yuji finished writing the contents of the notice, he and Chen Shang went to look for a place to post. As soon as they entered the crowd of people, it attracted the attention of many. Seeing that Chen Shang and Feng Yuji did not have any uniform attire, and the notice that was posted was for purchasing medicinal herbs, he confirmed that they were disciples from Dan Hall. I never thought that there would be 2 more young alchemists. I wonder where they came from. All the young faces of the alchemists can be counted with one hand, and they all have deep backgrounds. A man wearing a black cloak said. On the back of his black cloak was drawn a very imposing fist. He definitely doesn't have a backer. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come here to purchase medicinal herbs. A middle-aged man sneered. The man from before said, "Look, the people from the First Sword Hall have gone over. This guy from the First Sword Hall always likes to cause trouble, and he also really likes to tease the female disciples who just entered the Supreme Divine Palace." Chen Shang and Feng Yuji never thought that they would be watched by someone like that, they only felt that it was weird. After all, they were people who had experienced many things, especially Feng Yuji. "Little girl, did you just join the Supreme Divine Palace? Which hall are you from?" A handsome man with long hair that fluttered in the wind walked over with a very annoying smile on his face. Chapter 1937. Feng Yuji burst out in laughter and someone actually called her little sister. She replied softly, "I'm from the 10th hall." Although the 10th hall brought a cross, their overall strength was still at number 2. When Chen Shang heard about it from the 3 Gu brothers, he thought that they were just bragging, but he found out later on that it was true. The 10th hall. Knowing that Feng Yuji was from the 10th hall, the man let out a hollow laugh. The 10th hall's Luo Tianjin was extremely famous, he definitely knew of him. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Isn't he the person who defeated Song Peng with one sword strike? He went through the trial and entered the Dan Hall. I never expected to enter the Dan Hall. His sword arts are very terrifying. I thought he would enter the Sword Hall." Song Peng's miserable defeat was a very famous event in the Sword Hall. Many disciples thought that the one who defeated Song Peng was someone who excelled in the way of the sword, but who would have thought that they would actually join the Dan Hall. You defeated Song Peng and you still want to challenge Zhang Zhou, but looking at your current state, you shouldn't be such a crazy person. The long-haired man sized up Chen Shang. He had developed a very strong interest towards him. Chen Shang and Feng Yuji were both worried, because he and Zhang Zhou had their own contradictions, and now that Zhang Zhou and Zhang Zhou were both dead, if someone connected them together, Chen Shang might be in trouble. As long as there was no conclusive evidence, Chen Shang would never admit it no matter what. He was confident that he had done it cleanly and would not leave any traces behind, unless Shu Lingfei and her grandmother exposed him. Chen Shang slightly smiled. "I wasn't crazy in the first place, but if someone was crazy in front of me, I would be more crazy than him." With that, Chen Shang pointed to the notice paper, and asked, "Senior brother, I wonder if you have seen this divine medicine before." "I've heard of it, but not seen it." The long-haired man shook his head slightly, then returned to his own junior and junior brothers. Originally, he had wanted to find some fun, but he knew that the disciples of the 10th Dan Hall were not to be trifled with, and the 2 young disciples in particular were extremely important to Luo Tianjin. Just as everyone turned to look at Chen Shang and his group, they suddenly heard a trembling not too far away. F***ck off. A thunderous roar exploded, shaking everything endlessly. Someone was actually fighting here, and there was even such a large commotion. The old man behind the counter was also surprised and a bit angry. He immediately went over. Chen Shang and Feng Yuji also went to watch the commotion. He saw that the floor had already been broken into pieces. The thick and solid stone floor had been broken into pieces. A middle-aged man was lying on top of the broken pieces. This middle-aged man's chest had been stepped on. Xiao Chou. Chen Shang was ecstatic. Xiao Chou had returned. He did not expect that he was the one who did it. If not for the urgent arrival of the old man at the counter, Xiao Chou might have continued to step on him. "What's going on?" the old man behind the counter asked with a dark expression. Xiao Chou was still the same as before, with a shiny skull. Currently, he looked very mature. He did not seem like someone who would get angry casually, so there must be a reason why he was so angry right now. Chen Shang saw a red-clothed female standing not far from him. Her face was filled with worry, but when she saw that the old man standing at the counter had arrived, she anxiously walked over and timidly said, "The elder is a. This man is the one who bullied me. He was in chaos. Feel free to touch me." Seeing the lady, Chen Shang could not help but laugh. He never thought that Xiao Chou had finally awakened, and that he already had someone he liked. Xiao Chou was Chen Zhang's disciple, and also the descendant of the Herculean god. Xiao Chou had a very powerful divine veins legacy, his strength was very scary, and like Chen Shang, he was also a very abnormal guy. Now, he even entered the Supreme Divine Palace, becoming an outstanding disciple amongst the Soul Hall. The old man looked at the middle-aged man whose chest had been broken by Xiao Chou, and asked coldly, "Is this true?" "Elder A, I was careless." The old man frowned as he saw the flash of light in the middle-aged man's eyes. He said in a cold tone, "Be quiet." "Yes." As soon as the middle-aged man admitted to it, the old man waved his hand and the middle-aged man disappeared. The Supreme Divine Palace's space was extremely sturdy, even a few elders who use the power of space could not easily travel through space. However, the old man had already made them disappear with a wave of his hand. "I'll let you go this time. There won't be a next time," the old man said to Xiao Chou, who was sweating profusely. He did not know if it was because Chen Shang was Chen Zhang's friend that he would let him go. "Little fellows who have just returned, please do not cause trouble at my place. The one who disappeared after making trouble here over the years is not the same guy from before." With these words, the old man returned to his own counter, leisurely reading a book. "Xiao Chou, wait for me in the 10th hall of the Dan Hall." Xiao Chou's sound transmission suddenly came to Xiao Chou's mind. He was pleasantly surprised, and then, while dragging the red-clothed female, he hurriedly left the Supreme Hall. After Chen Shang and Feng Yuji finished posting, they returned to the 10th hall. Returning back to Hall 10, Chen Shang already saw Xiao Chou and the pure red-clothed female in the hall. "Master, it's really you." Seeing Chen Shang, Xiao Chou anxiously walked out of the hall and grabbed both of Chen Zhang's arms. He was extremely excited. "What, do you think I died in that trial?" Chen Shang laughed and patted Xiao Chou's head. "You have become so powerful, maybe I can't even beat you anymore." "Master, let me introduce you. This is my wife, Zhu Xiqing A. Chinger, quickly call for Master." Xiao Chou pulled Zhu Xiqing over. "He's the master that you and I have been talking about often." Chinger greets master and mistress. Although Zhu Xiqing was a little shy, she was very meticulous and noticed Feng Yuji, who was walking over with Chen Shang. "Mistress, isn't that the goddess of the 9 heavens? Master, you and her." Xiao Chou saw that Feng Yuji's face had changed, and did not continue the topic. It looks like Xiao Chou knew a lot of things. Xiao Chou laughed dryly. "Chinger, you have a lot of masters, I don't think this is the case." Feng Yuji purposely pretended to be fierce. "Why can't I be your mistress? Don't tell me that you think I'm not worthy of your master." Well, you really are." Xiao Chou did not dare believe it. He knew how powerful Feng Yuji was. He knew that Feng Yuji was a powerful existence who had inherited a large portion of the 9 divine kings' power, and was actually on good terms with his master. Feng Yuji held onto Chen Zhang's arm, and laughed tenderly. "What do you think? Why aren't you looking at Chinger? I could tell at a glance." "All right, disciple pays his respects to mistress." Xiao Chou scratched his head and shouted as he pretended to bow. Chapter 1938. Chen Shang had many questions for him. Especially how did he manage to enter the Supreme Divine Palace, but he did not go through the trial. Xiao Chou could already tell what question Chen Shang was going to answer from his expression. Invited Xiao Chou and Zhu Xiqing to sit in the hall and pour them some tea, causing them to feel extremely flattered. As a junior, especially Zhu Xiqing, she was a little nervous at being treated by her master like this. "Master, how long have you been here? I've been waiting for you for so many years, but I haven't even seen you. I thought you died during the trial." Xiao Chou chuckled. "You are indeed resilient, you still won't die even like this, and you even came in." Hearing Xiao Chou's words, Chen Shang really wanted to go over and slap his head hard. What a joke, how could I have died so casually? Chen Shang took a deep breath, then asked, "What exactly happened to you that you came in without going through a trial?" "During the trial, I was worried about you all day, thinking that you would die during a trial." Xiao Chou laughed. "To be honest, if I am allowed to undergo this trial, I might really die inside. After I enter, I can only hold on until the second round, and I won't be able to hold on anymore, so right now I really admire you, Master, for being able to pass this damn trial. Chen Shang laughed complacently. Otherwise, would I have been your master? Quickly tell me, how did you come to this supreme divine palace? I am very jealous that you entered without going through the trial. Thinking back to that trial, Chen Shang felt like vomiting. That's because I suddenly encountered the ancestors of the Herculean god tribe during the trial. Because of his accommodation, the Supreme Divine Palace's palace master made an exception and allowed me to live, so I couldn't be considered to have passed through the trial. Xiao Qiu laughed somewhat embarrassedly. Chen Shang was a little confused. He took a sip of tea and asked, "Is your giant god clan ancestor very powerful? To be able to make the Supreme Divine Palace master make an exception, you need a very high status." "He's an elder in Supreme Divine Palace, he's also my hall master, he's the hall master of Soul Hall's first hall. A while ago, I went out with him to gain experience, and after seeing this super god realm, Qing'er is his granddaughter." Xiao Qiu looked at Qing'er and smiled. From their eyes, one could tell that they had deep feelings for each other. "So that's how it is." Chen Shang nodded. Feng Yuji laughed. "Chen Shang, your disciple already has a wife, are you not going to give Qing'er a present?" Chen Shang thought about it carefully. He didn't have anything that was suitable for Zhu Xiqing, because Qing*er's grandfather was a very powerful hall master, and also a supreme god of the Herculean god tribe. "Qing'er, here." Feng Yuji saw that Chen Shang was startled, and took out a small red wooden case. "Thank you mistress, master." Zhu Xiqing stood up and quickly thanked him. Chen Shang did not have anything he could take out, but Feng Yuji did have something he could take out. Chen Shang was very curious about what it was, and laughed, "Open it and take a look." Zhu Xiqing's face was flushed red. She did not expect Xiao Qiu's master to be so easy to talk to give her a present the moment they met. Just now, he had even poured her a cup of tea. He opened the small red wooden box. Inside was a pill. "This is the Zongpin Dan." Xiao Qiu was a little surprised. He had originally thought that they were just shopping Dan, but to him and Zhu Xiqing, shopping Dan's gifts were already considered good. After all, they were not like Chen Shang and Feng Yuji who could easily sell their pellets and quickly earn Shenyuan stone. Feng Yuji laughed. "Just a little kindness, Qing'er, you must use it well." Zhu Xiqing nodded immediately and thanked Feng Yuji once again. "Xiao Qiu, have you learned anything in Soul Hall?" Chen Shang was rather curious about the matters in the Soul Hall because the Soul Hall could hunt powerful divine beasts. After suddenly refining the divine soul of the divine beasts, they could allow humans to integrate into the beast's soul as their innate divine soul, and could also obtain the unique and powerful innate ability of those divine beasts. The bones needed to be fused with this type of beast's divine soul, so Chen Shang wanted to understand more about this matter right now. When he had the bones in the future, he would ask Xiao Qiu to help him create a good beast's divine soul. Xiao Qiu scratched his head and laughed. "There is a lot of knowledge to learn in Soul Hall, especially the soul refining technique. It is very difficult. Qing'er is better at this than me. I have learnt everything from her now. Master, if you need beast divine soul right now, Qing'er and I can maybe work together to help you get one good." Chen Shang laughed. "I do not need it now, but when I need it, I will look for it myself. When I find it, I will then let you guys refine it. When that time comes, it will be very easy for me to fuse it, right?" Xiao Qiu nodded his head. "As long as you refine a secret method, you will be able to perfectly integrate it into your divine deity, and will be able to unleash a very strong power. So master, it would be best if you could find a superior one when you are searching for a beast's divine soul." "I will." Chen Shang was currently only a lower god with 2 souls. If he wanted to become the supreme god, he would need 8 souls and 8 divine deity. In addition, he still had to cultivate bones, so that his own body would have divine deity as well, and then merge with the divine soul, so that the strength possessed by his fleshly body would be as strong as that of his divine soul. "Master, how strong are you now? It's been so long that I can't tell. Do you think you're a god?" Xiao Qiu suddenly asked, his face full of curiosity. Chen Shang smiled and said, "What about you? The feeling you give me is that you're a 3-soul 3 divine deity intermediate god, right? After I entered the Supreme Divine Palace, with the help of Qing'er's grandfather, I used the bloodline of my Herculean god tribe to grow at a very fast pace. Of course, the main thing is that Qing'er's grandfather gave me 2 sets of very good divine soul for me to fuse with. I only managed to cultivate 2 sets of divine deity." Quote. Xiao Chou could not be considered to have advanced by leaps and bounds, because he had already been in the Supreme Divine Palace for dozens of years, and because Chen Shang was in the trial grounds, he had lost all these decades of time. Right now, I am just a lesser Empyrean god. Chen Shang sighed. I am not your opponent. No, Master has always been very powerful. Although he is not as strong as me now, he will be able to catch up very soon. I believe in Master's strength. Although Xiao Chou said it modestly, he had a complacent smile on his face. Master, how long have you been training? I heard from the Hall Master that it's extremely scary inside. Especially at the end, it's almost impossible to pass that test. Xiao Chou asked. He found it hard to understand why Chen Shang had passed, because he understood the rules later on. Especially those countless traps, as long as he fell in once, he would be able to start anew. It wasn't too long ago, just a few years. Compared to the time I spent outside, the time inside was quite ludicrous. After I finished the trial, decades had already passed outside. Chen Shang said, the only reason I can pass was due to luck. Xiao Chou did not believe it. He knew that it was impossible to pass by just by luck, and that it required a large amount of strength. Chen Shang was indeed relying on luck. If not for the fact that he met Yue, the little kitten from Beast Divine Palace, he didn't even know how he would have died. Chapter 1939. The reason that Xiao Chou rushed back from the outside was to participate in the 100-year large competition of the Supreme Palace. This was also to broaden the horizons of the divine nations, and Xiao Chou also wanted to go to those places. Chen Shang was only creating Yuxin Dan now. In his opinion, it was not enough for him to use this pill to participate in the competition, unless he could purchase a Junyang gold ginseng and improve it. If he could refine a shopping Dan much better than the Yuxin Dan, he was confident that he would win. Xiao Chou and Chen Shang chatted for a while before he and Zhu Xiqing finally left. Sister Feng, what pill did you give to Qing'er earlier? Chen Shang knew that it was a Zongpin Dan, but he didn't know its name. I refined it some time ago. It cannot be considered a very good Zongpin Dan, but it is much better than a shopping Dan. Now, I am also prepared to use your method to improve this pill. Feng Yuji laughed. She was familiar with the techniques of the original source refining, and knew that using this method, one could fuse the medicinal ingredients that were difficult to fuse. Chen Shang laughed. That brat Xiao Chou was so cocky in front of me earlier, I cannot lose to him, if not the little guy will quickly become arrogant to the heavens. Feng Yuji laughed, then let's work harder. Because they had nothing else to do, Chen Shang and Feng Yuji had long since went into the house to practice the alive slain methods condensing spirit pearl. Early the next morning, Chen Shang and Feng Yuji were still wrapped up in bed when they suddenly heard Luo Tianjin shouting outside. Brat, little girl, there's someone looking for you. They're here to sell divine medicines. Usually, it was Chen Zhang's turn to call them Luo Tianjin, but today, it was Luo Tianjin's turn to call them. Feng Yuji got up from bed in a hurry, simple enough to tidy up his clothes, then walked out of his room to the hall, where a black and white-haired middle-aged man sat. Chen Shang walked in at this time, and when he saw this middle-aged man, he had a very strange feeling. This middle-aged man gave off a very ancient aura. Wearing a black robe, he was the boxing hall's uniform. Junyang gold ginseng, 200,000 Shen Yuan stone. When the middle-aged man saw Chen Shang and Feng Yuji walking in, he immediately raised the price, and did not say anything unnecessary. On Feng Yuji's notice, it said that he bought it with 150,000 Shen Yuan stone, so it was normal for the middle-aged man to come here to bargain. Quite a few, Feng Yuji asked. He knew that it would be a little less. When Feng Yuji asked this question, the middle-aged man immediately stood up and prepared to leave. All right, 200,000 is 200,000. Feng Yuji immediately shouted out. Although it was a little expensive, as long as they could purchase it, she and Chen Shang could make an unlimited copy. The middle-aged man took the storage bag from Feng Yuji and counted it carefully before taking out the Junyang gold ginseng. The Junyang gold ginseng seemed to have been carved out of gold. It emitted a kind of gentle sunlight, and when held in the hand, it also felt a burning sensation. This is a Junyang gold ginseng. Outside the courtyard, Luo Tianjin saw Chen Shang and Feng Yuji appraising, and shouted. With Luo Tianjin's words, Chen Shang and Feng Yuji were not as determined as they were before as they immediately reached an agreement. The middle-aged man quickly walked out of the 10th hall. A price of 200,000 is considered normal. Right now, even 150,000 Shen Yuan stone is hard to accept. Luo Tianjin laughed. He did not ask what Chen Shang wanted this Jianyang gold ginseng to do, because Chen Shang had told him before that he wanted to create a divine pill formula to participate in the competition at Dan Hall. Brat, you can now register to participate. Which group do you think you should join? Luo Tianjin asked. This group of Shopping Dan. Chen Shang replied. How many days do we still have left? 3 more months. Luo Tianjin gave Chen Shang and Feng Yuji a fruit each. Most of the disciples that leave will be back in these 3 months. 3 months was more than enough for Chen Shang. Feng Yuji asked. Hall Master, when can we register? Is it us who should go? Luo Tianjin laughed. Little girl, I've already gotten the oldest GU to help you register. The one who is participating in the Shopping Dan group is us, 10th Hall. Other than you and me, everyone else has already registered to participate. Hall Master, can you change it? I want to join the Zongbin Dan group. Feng Yuji smiled sweetly. You guys are underestimating me. Luo Tianjin was startled, then chuckled. Of course you can change it. We have indeed underestimated you, we are truly sorry. Chen Shang was also surprised, but thinking about the Zongbin Dan that Feng Yuji gave to Zhu Xiqing yesterday, coupled with the fact that she had obtained the heavenly alchemy, refining the Zongbin Dan was extremely easy for her. Hall Master, did you prepare the medicinal ingredients yourself? Chen Shang asked. Of course I'm preparing it myself, so if you can't find the medicinal ingredients, then don't participate. Luo Tianjin laughed. I think all of you will be preparing the ingredients needed. At that time, I will need to prepare a set of ingredients for the pill formulas that I am most familiar with, and the other pills will be provided by the Dan Hall. I'll join when the time comes. I'm not sure which group I'll be joining. Luo Tianjin sighed. If I participate, I would have to bring out the things that can be lowered. Chen Shang was puzzled, and asked, Hall Master, aren't you guys the only ones who are in the Shangpin Dan group? Feng Yuji shook his head. Of course not. Above the Shangpin Dan, there is still the Supreme God Pellet, and after the Supreme God Pellet, there is the King Grade, Heaven Grade, Saint Grade, and finally, there is the Sovereign Profound Pellet which is extremely difficult to refine. Luo Tianjin laughed. Little girl is right, I am considering whether I should join this group of Shangpin Dan or not. Chen Shang did not know that there was still such a high-leveled pill in the Shangpin Dan. If it was really like that, then what kind of divine medicine and pill formulas would be required to refine it? Luo Tianjin being able to refine a Taipin Dan caused Feng Yuji to be secretly shocked, because she knew the level of being able to refine this kind of pill. The herbs that Feng Yuji had purchased were all from Shopping Dan, but she had to register to join the group of Zongbin Dan. After Chen Shang and Feng Yuji entered the room, Chen Shang asked, Sister Feng, the low-grade divine medicines that you bought are for refining Shopping Dan-s. Feng Yuji laughed tenderly. Originally, but not now. All the medicinal ingredients can evolve, after buying them all, and then use the spirit orb to give birth to them, and then evolve to a Zongbin medicine. At that time I will directly use it to refine a Zongbin Dan. Of course, refining this pill requires over 600 other Shangpin Holy Dan-s. I have already gathered all of them. Chen Shang felt that it was very troublesome, because he felt that when he refined a large amount of Zongbin Dan in the future, he would first need to refine a large amount of Shangpin Holy Dan. Therefore, he planned to find a way to solve this problem from the heavenly alchemy. Chapter 1940. Chen Shang placed the spirit orb into a bowl of water and let the spirit orb dissolve it, causing the water in the bowl to turn light blue. Then, he cut the Jianyang gold ginseng in half and placed it inside the bowl. The Jianyang gold ginseng quickly reacted and began to absorb the blue substance in the water. New parts of the Jianyang gold ginseng began to grow out of the wound, just like a gecko with a short tail. Feng Yuji was not unfamiliar with this scene. She had often seen LV Kilian and the others do this before. The originally light blue water quickly became transparent, and the cut-off Jianyang gold ginseng did not completely grow any broken parts. Seems like I need 2 of them. This Jianyang gold ginseng is different from the other low-rank divine medicines, it absorbs a lot of energy. Chen Shang placed another blue spirit orb into the water and the spirit orb released a blue energy. It quickly melted, and the blue energy was absorbed by the 2 Jianyang gold ginseng. In a few blinks of the eye, the 2 halves of the Jianyang gold ginseng in the bowl turned into 2 complete halves, emitting a dazzling light. Not bad, you earned 200,000 Shen Yuan stone so quickly. I wonder if the refined pellets could be sold at this price. Don't lose out. Feng Yuji saw that the Jianyang gold ginseng was copied out of her own spirit pearl, giving her a sense of accomplishment. I still have 2 spiritual beads. Let's try and see if I can replicate the 3 types of low-rank divine medicine from the Yuxin Dan. Chen Shang took out other Yuxin Dan's medicinal herbs and began to refine them. With just a try, they had seen how big of a difference there was between the 3 medicines of Yuxin Dan and that of Junyang Gold Ginseng. 2 spirit pearls could actually be duplicated into 2. If the Junyang Gold Ginseng successfully fused with the Yuxin Dan's medicinal ingredients, then the effects of this pellet should be considered the best in the healing category of shopping Dan. Feng Yuji exclaimed, "Are you going to start now?" "Yes." Chen Shang nodded, he could not wait any longer. Just as Chen Shang was about to enter the underground chamber to concoct pills, he suddenly heard Luo Tianjin's shout, "2 young men, come out quickly. There's something urgent." Chen Shang and Feng Yuji had no choice but to go out immediately. "Hall Master, what is the matter?" Chen Shang asked. "Oldest Ji-Yu is in trouble, let's go take a look." This was sent by Ji-Yu Lao-san just now. Luo Tianjin shook the communication jade symbol paper in his hand. "I heard that he had a conflict with some fellows from the other Dan Hall. He told us to go over and support him, and especially wanted us to let you go." "Then let's hurry up." Chen Shang laughed, "So it was because of some trouble with the other Dan Hall. I had thought that something big had happened." This made Chen Shang and Feng Yuji a little worried. What big thing can happen to my, Luo Tianjin's disciple? Even if something bad happens, I can help them deal with it. Luo Tianjin said heroically as he strode out of the door. Chen Shang and Feng Yuji anxiously followed. Walking on the road, Chen Shang said, "Isn't this the path to Dan Heart Pavilion? Could it be the Dan Heart Pavilion?" Luo Tianjin laughed. "I guessed it, those 3 brothers are inside the Dan Heart Pavilion these days. Of course, the other old brats from the other Dan Halls will also be gathered there, waiting for those fellows who return from the outside world, and scold each other whenever they meet one another. This is an event that happens once every 100 years. The corner of Chen Zhang's mouth twitched. "Damn it, it's so boring." Luo Tianjin laughed out loud. "If you had lived as long as them, you would also have done such a silly thing." Sure enough, when he approached the Dan Heart Pavilion, Chen Shang heard his scolding voice. "Old turtle, you're a turtle who has been cowering for several 100 years. Now that you've appeared, not only can you bite people with your mouth, you can also fart. Are you hiding in the turtle shell, or do you only know how to fart on your buttocks and mouth?" This was the voice of the oldest Ji-Yu. It sounded very energetic, as though he was using all his strength to curse. After he finished cursing, a burst of laughter followed. It seemed like there were a lot of bored people watching the battle. "You old bastard, have you forgotten about the matter that you lost to me 3,000 years ago? Back then, when you lost, you called me grandpa, and many people present heard it. Old bastard Ji-Yu, have you forgotten about the matter that you lost to me 3,000 years ago?" The person that was scolded by the oldest Ji-Yu immediately replied. Chen Shang and Feng Yuji couldn't help but laugh. This oldest Ji-Yu actually had such a dark history. Oldest Ji-Yu immediately roared out, "Old turtle, 2,000 years ago, when you lost to me, you knelt down and kowtowed to me, calling me ancestor. Everyone present also saw this, but now, even if you want to recognize me as your ancestor, I will f-king reject unfilial descendants like you." Chen Shang found it hard to imagine that 3 Ji-Yu brothers had scolded him like this for a few days while participating in that Pildao debate. Normal people could not do such a thing. "Oldest Ji-Yu, what did you ask us to do?" Luo Tianjin brought Chen Shang and Feng Yuji to the cursing grounds. The crowd who were originally laughing, immediately quietened down. After all, Luo Tianjin was a top existence amongst the Dan Hall. Even in the entire Supreme Divine Palace, he had a very high position. "This bastard said that there are no young people in our 10th hall. I want to let them see the young people in our 10th hall. Not only young people, but also young girls." When the oldest Ji-Yu saw Chen Shang and Feng Yuji had arrived, he anxiously pulled them over. "You two, quickly show your tokens. Let this old turtle, who has shrunk his head for hundreds of years, see if there are any youngsters in our 10th hall." Oldest Ji-Yu pushed Chen Shang and his sister into the middle of the cursing ground, leaving Chen Shang and his sister extremely speechless. This 3 Ji-Yu brothers told them to come due to an urgent matter. It was actually using them to slap someone else's face. "Did you see that? This is our 10th hall's new disciple." Oldest Ji-Yu proudly swept his gaze across the other disciples of the Dan Hall, then arrogantly shouted, "If you have the guts, pull out your young people and let's see who's the strongest." "HMPH, our young disciple is currently in closed-door training, how could he have the time?" I admit that there are young people in your 10th hall, but that doesn't mean they are powerful. Our young man has the ability to suppress them. The old man who was scolding oldest Gu earlier was not one to be outdone. Luo Tianjin laughed. The little imps from your group have never called you senior brothers before, right? Furthermore, they are so arrogant that they don't even put you in their eyes. Although they are a bit skilled, their hearts are simply too terrible. Second brother Gu laughed. You can't even call all of you as trash, but we can call all of you our brats over. What are you all so proud of? That brat probably hasn't even looked at you. The old man had no way of refuting him. He took a few deep breaths of anger and said unhappily, that guy has the ability, he has the right to be arrogant. Your boy is very obedient, but he has no ability.